Audio test, testing audio.
Please be seated. Good afternoon, and thank you for attending this meeting of the Council. Please note, this meeting is being live streamed on the Council's YouTube channel. I welcome members of the press, the public, who may be viewing this meeting remotely. Now we move forward into the formal business of the meeting. Can we take the notice convening the meeting as read? Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, Mr Mayor, we have apologies from councillors Eyre, Laverick, McKeith, Samuels, D Truman, M Walker and Honorary Alderman Forbes and Tate.
Are there any further apologies?
Councillor Hodgson, thanks.
Councillor Hodgson,
Niall
did you
Hodgson,
say? Councillor Hodgson. Stephen? Councillor Alison Chisnell. Any more? No. Lindsay? Councillor Land?
Councillor Heron, and can't see Councillor Glancy, so I don't know if she's been delayed.
Councillor Martin Heron and Glancy. Right. Councillor Dodds?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Laws will be late and Councillor Ty will be late.
Any more before we move forward? No, thank you. The next item is the minutes of the meeting of the council held on the 17th of September 2025. Can I remind members that any comments must be related to the accuracy of the minutes? I understand that Councillor Edgeworth wishes to speak. Councillor Edgeworth?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just on page 12, it refers to Councillor Smith, but there are more than one Councillors Smith. So as a matter of accuracy, I wondered if they could be amended so that it's the correct Councillor Smith. Thank you.
Councillor Edgeworth, thank you for raising that point. that can happen, so thank you very much for raising that. Councillor Anthony Mullen?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It refers to pages 3 and 4. In the last meeting, you'll recall at the start, the Liberal Democrats raised a number of points of order relating to the status of Denny Wilson. I understand that you said that they weren't legitimate at that time, but should it not be the case that they should still be recorded in these minutes because it's what happened? And can I also ask further to that, what is the status of Denny Wilson's membership of the Labour Party?
Councillor Mullen, in terms of Councillor Wilson's political affiliation, that's not to do with the accuracy of the minutes. On your second point, I will just seek advice on that. If you just give me 1 minute, please. Yeah. So just taking some advice, they're not verbatim minutes, so we don't write every single word that was said. But thank you for raising that point. Can we agree the minutes? Thank you very much. Do any members who have any interest to declare that they haven't already entered into the declaration sheets in the lobby? Nope, that's fine. The council was extremely saddened to learn of the death of Councillor Claire Rowntree. Claire had represented the Hetton ward since 2018 and served as deputy leader of the council between 2021 and 2024. Latterly, Claire had been the chair of the Scrutiny Coordinating Committee and was a valued member of the North East Combined Authority Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Claire was committed to improving the lives of the people in the city and was instrumental in bringing Elmore Park in Hetton back into public use for the benefit of local residents of all ages. I am sure that members will join me in sending condolences to Claire's friends and family. I understand that some members may wish to speak. Councillor Edgeworth? Councillor Mordy? Councillor Ian Scott? Thank you very much. Councillor Edgeworth.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just on behalf of everyone in the Liberal Democrat group and Lib Dem colleagues on the North East Combined Authority, both on the Cabinet, Amanda Hopgood, and colleagues from the Scrutiny, committee, I just wanted to send our sincere condolences to Claire's husband, family and friends. We were all shocked and saddened when we heard the news of Claire's death, and she was someone who was genuinely liked and respected, who was approachable, happy to discuss issues that you'd bring to her, happy to engage on concerns, and able, to have a laugh with political opponents at the same time as sticking fiercely to her beliefs and principles. I think she'll be a loss to this chamber and to politics in the city, and we'll all miss her and remember her fondly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Labour Group, I too would like to pay a tribute to our dear friend and colleague, Councillor Claire Rowntree. Mr. Mayor, Claire was a passionate advocate for local people in the Hetton ward, and she held deep and strong convictions and was always willing to stand up and fight for residents, in particular those who couldn't stand up for themselves and fight for what she believed in. Mr. Mayor, Claire had many notable achievements during her time on the council, but I'm sure her lasting legacy will be Elmore Country Park. I remember talking to Claire about her ideas for Elmore Park when I was the City Services portfolio way back in 2018, and it stands in the Hetton ward as a tribute to her tenaciousness, her campaigning, and will be a lasting legacy to her, the people of Hetton ward and the Coalfield community. Mr. Mayor, Claire will be fondly remembered by all her friends and family and missed by all who knew her. On behalf of the Labour Group, we send our condolences to Andrew and all of Claire's family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ian Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. It's already been mentioned by the leader and by Councillor Edgeworth that Claire is going to be an absolutely massive miss to family, friends, to everybody in this chamber as a political opponent and a political ally. Claire's absolutely fierce, loyal, caring, compassionate beyond any stretch of the imagination, and will be most certainly a huge miss to both Councillor Blackburn and I as ward colleagues. I always remember meeting Claire for the first time prior to a by-election in 2021 in the Hetton ward, and I remember just being in awe of the political behemoth of the woman that stood before me as the deputy leader. That imposter syndrome was like, oh my God, that's potentially your ward colleague. And I always remember how caring and compassionate she was and how helpful to me personally during the time in my introduction into public life, and how she's helped perhaps shape me, as you like, as a person. And that kind of goes beyond the wider world of politics as to what Claire can do and achieve, and how she struck people in different ways, and how she embraces many other people of different views and brings a lot of things to the fore. Fundamentally, I'm just going to miss a ward colleague and my friend, as I'm sure we all will. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Scott. When I first became a councillor, Claire was the deputy leader. She was extremely kind, she was always approachable, and she will surely be missed in this chamber. I ask that we now observe a minute's silence as a mark of respect to our colleague, Claire Rowntree. I would also like to ask you to stand if you are able to do so. Thank you very much. There are no further announcements. I would like to thank those members who have given notice of their wish to speak. If any member who hasn't given prior notice wishes to speak at any point during the meeting, they should please raise their hand to indicate. I would like to welcome the Northumbria Police and Crime Commissioner, Susan Dungworth, and Chief Constable, Vanessa Jardine to the meeting. Ms Dungworth and Chief Constable Jardine will address the Council on policing matters in the Sunderland area and respond to questions submitted from each group. Ms Dungworth.
Is that right? Yep. Thank you, and thank you for the invite to come today to speak to the Council. Myself and the Chief Constable have made a commitment to visit each council once during the civic year. We didn't manage it last year for whatever, but it's great to be here today, and it's the first time I've been in your chamber as a chamber. I've been here for events, but not seen it as a chamber. So it's always a pleasure to be in Sunderland. My kids laugh about how much I talk about Sunderland as somebody from Northumberland, but that's because, and I'll touch on some of the reasons why in terms of policing and my work, but it is an exciting city. It's a city that's got a vision. It's a city that's got a plan. We can see things happening, and there is a real commitment from all the partners, particularly the City Council, to work with us to make it the safest, best place to live and work. So thank you. Our shared priority with yourselves remains to keep the streets safe, because if we've got safer streets, we've got stronger communities. And we're focusing on visible policing, tackling antisocial behaviour and supporting victims. Our progress relies on strong collaboration from my office with the police, local authorities and partners. Through Project Shield, Northumbria Police and Sunderland Council and our transport providers deliver high visibility patrols with a problem-solving approach to address the root causes of ASB. We don't have a policy of just arresting or just moving on, because that doesn't solve the problems. So it genuinely is a problem-solving partnership. Sunderland hotspots are the city centre, Concord and Pallion, and the transport network, which incorporates both the metro and buses. This year, we've delivered a year-on-year 38% reduction in ASB in those hotspots. Funded by the Violence Reduction Unit, schools can access PolEd, which is an online educational package that focuses on consent, online safety and exploitation. 67% of your schools in Sunderland have signed up for this free resource. In December, the SAIL project will have been in existence for 3 years, and it's an example of successful multi-agency work involving all those partners. Compared to the same period last year, all ASB is down 10%, and alcohol-related ASB in the city centre is down 18%. Following a recent visit by the chair of the Youth Justice Board to Sunderland's Youth Offending Service, SAIL and our focused deterrent approach were mentioned specifically as an effective option to divert young people away from crime. I want to thank you and your officers for the support that you provided with the Safer Streets Summer initiative. Following this success, the government has launched a winter of action to sustain this momentum while adapting to seasonal pressures in areas like town centres. Much of this work is business as usual for Northumbria Police, but we will work together to focus on tackling retail crime, street crime and antisocial behaviour, and ensuring that our nighttime economy is safe. Through Supporting Victims programme, we have a wide range of support services for victims which work across Sunderland and the wider Northumbria region. One of Sunderland's specific services, which you will all be well aware of, is the long-standing Wearside Women in Need, who have had a relationship with my office and with the police for a very long time, and they do some amazing work to support domestic abuse victims. Looking ahead, my Supporting Victims programme is currently open for applications and it closes on the 16th of November. This 3-year funding opportunity will deliver better specialist services to provide essential emotional and practical and therapeutic support to victims. I hope to see many more opportunities in Sunderland for us to enhance the provision for victims by working together. I'll continue to fund grassroots projects through the Commissioner's Community Fund, and this year I funded 13 local projects across Sunderland. These groups have delivered crucial work to repair the harm caused by hate and ASB and to build community cohesion. Some of the groups that we funded this year were Space 4 and Holding Hands North East. The next round of the fund will launch on the 24th of November, and I hope to support many more projects to deliver impactful change in Sunderland. Priority to work with young people who are vulnerable to risk and crime is something that we see as really important to avoid sexual and criminal exploitation. And the Safe Return programme, working with the VRU and the police, provides early intervention support to support a child who's missing less than 3 times and not involved in any other services. This is a lower threshold than is normally applied to ensure that we support young people before the risk increases. 26 referrals to the Safe Return pilot in Sunderland have occurred during the first quarter. The success in reducing missing episodes in Sunderland has now been expanded into South Tyneside. And finally, the Youth Futures Pathway Panel. The Home Office have announced that the Young Futures Pathway Panel, offering support and diversion to young people, is based on individual need. These young people are viewed as those that may otherwise go unnoticed and who we need to address. Within the coalfield areas of Sunderland, funding is being provided to Together for Children to support the integration of the panel and access to relevant services. This work is crucial for building on progress we are making to ensure there is real support in place before these behaviours become a pattern. So we will continue investing in early intervention, support for victims and tackling the roots and causes of crime. Your feedback and partnership is absolutely vital to what we do, and together I believe we can make Sunderland an even safer place. So thank you again for your support.
Mr Mayor, thank you for the invite this evening. Thank you to the Chamber for inviting us back again. I'll probably start where the Police and Crime Commissioner finished, in that we are all here because we want to make Sunderland as safe a place as possible and as prosperous a place for our fabulous communities that live and work here. And one of the wonderful things is our partnership working that enables us to do that. And that's not only with our statutory partners, and we have an excellent working relationship with the local authority, but also with our third sector partners as well. And there are some examples of that, and I'll talk through a couple of them in a minute. But it really is a whole team approach in order that we can protect and keep people safe in this area. I was conscious tonight of not just sort of firing statistics at you, because I think there's always some context behind statistics. But I do think it's important, and thank you for the questions that are going to come in a few minutes, because I know that you and our residents are keen to hear about how their police force are performing around crime and preventing crime from happening in the area. So I won't give a huge number, but I'll give a little bit of context. So crime, and these are in the last 12 months, crime is down in Sunderland in the last 3 months by 3%. Burglary is down by 12%, and we've heard about the reductions in antisocial behaviour. And I'll give a broader figure for Sunderland, whereas the PCC gave some specific, but 22% down antisocial behaviour, reports of antisocial behaviour to us. but there is lots more to do, and I'll talk a little bit around some of the activities. So that's the positive news. We've seen some increases in shoplifting, 12% increase in shoplifting. Some of that is to do with the way that we record shoplifting. You potentially have seen some things nationally of the focus on shoplifting, and in particular assaults on shop workers. And we've changed some classifications. That is one of the reasons. I also would like to think that people's confidence in reporting shoplifting has increased as well, and therefore we are getting more reports because we want people to report shoplifting to us. We've improved the way that the shops and stores can report to us. We've made a much more simpler way they can upload video evidence and evidence to us so they can come directly into us. And I hope that this is giving them confidence. It's certainly giving us more information, and we're able to make more arrests of these offenders, which I know causes particular concern, especially around some of our smaller businesses as well in our communities, who perhaps haven't got the same backing that some of our larger stores have and their sustainability. You heard a little bit about the Neighbourhood Policing Guarantee. Here in Northumbria, we are maximising the number of people that we can recruit. So we'll be having 95 additional police officers just through the Neighbourhood Policing Guarantee, 27 PCSOs, and hopefully 30 special constables will be coming into the force in the next couple of years, specifically around neighbourhood policing, and they will be deployed into neighbourhood policing, so there will be an uplift in those areas. To try and encourage people to join, we are the first force in the country to offer direct entry into neighbourhood policing. So you may have heard direct entry detectives coming into the force. Well, we are going to encourage people, particularly those people who are really community focused, to come directly into the force and be neighbourhood officers. And as I say, we're the first force to do that. There are lots of different activities around crime and antisocial behaviour that have all contributed to some of the performance. And you've heard some of them there, and I will talk specifically about Operation Capio, because I know that's our response to motorcycle and e-bike crime and disorder. I'll talk about that in a little while. But we've also got some real partnership approaches, and you'll know about SAIL, which again sees a lot of agencies all come together. It's in its third year now and is seeing some significant impact, because what we're trying to do is prevent people from entering into a pathway of crime. By the time we're arresting people, very often they've come into contact with our partners on a number of occasions, and we need to get to them before. We need to help them and their families in the early stages when their lives are getting into turmoil, and that's what the partnership approach is, and that's what SAIL is particularly positive at. So if I come to Operation Capio, it's just an operation name. It's our response to motorcycle and e-bike disorder, which I know concerns many of our residents. And again, that needs to be a real partnership approach. And just to put it into context, out of all the ASB and antisocial behaviour that we have, it represents 25% of all ASB. That's across Northumbria. So Capio, if you don't know, is our dedicated response to that. What we're trying to do is encourage residents to make the reports when they see bikes or they suffer antisocial behaviour, because what we need is the intelligence about these bikes. We need to understand where they're coming from, who's riding them, because by the time we get there, it's very difficult for us to get to the offenders. They obviously go into little rat runs, and it's very difficult. But we need the intelligence. So every single person that reports antisocial behaviour into motorcycle disorder gets a phone call from one of our team, who speaks to them then to try and obtain some of that intelligence. This year, we have seized over 100 illegal bikes, and this is just across Sunderland. And we've seized 23 of the bikes in the past 3 months. And we've also put additional officers into Capio, because it started off as a bit of a pilot across some of our areas, but we now recognise the benefits that it brings, and therefore we've put additional officers. We've had over 70 reports of intelligence that we can feed into our systems, and as I say, made a number of callbacks in relation to that. I'm not going to stand here and say to you that we've solved the problem, because we haven't. And we've seen some recent legislation changes that have meant that some of the really positive things that I think local authorities have done around cutting off some of the areas that bikes can get to make them safe sort of parks and lanes, you know, for legislation reasons, they've had to be removed, which makes it difficult to kind of police those areas. We did invest last year, and I very well may have said when I first came here, in an off-road motorcycle unit. We brought motorbikes generally back into the force because we recognise the benefits that they can bring. So we do have some capability in these areas, but it is very, very difficult. We need to work, and are working nationally, with manufacturers of these bikes. You'll know all about them. Many of the electric ones are silent and can reach absolute significant speeds. They're not only a danger to the public, but they are a danger to riders themselves. And we've had some really awful road traffic incidents where people have been killed by the way that they're driving this bike. So we're approaching it from lots of different angles, from a manufacturer angle, but also from an education perspective as well, because it's far too late when you see families in despair on the news because their loved one seriously injured themselves or killed themselves. We need to get ahead of this. And the final thing, and it was briefly mentioned by the Commissioner, around Project Shield. So this is increasing our patrols in our hotspot areas, focusing not only on ASB, but also on serious violence. We focus in Sunderland City Centre, in Washington and in Pennywell for Project Shield. We've got some funding committed to it. We've done some really innovative things. You may have heard about the Trojan bus. So this is a bus that actually is staffed by officers and our staff members entirely across the force, and it's there to prevent ASB, to talk to the young people getting on the bus. And so we're trying to do lots of innovative things and engage with youths who are getting on this bus, explain why we're there, and try and educate them a little bit more around antisocial behaviour in some of our particular hotspots. That was all I was going to say. I know there are some questions, and I'll expand on any of those things I've just said there if there is anything more in relation to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Now I would like to invite Councillor Williams to ask a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Inspector, Chief Inspector. Chief Constable, sorry, I must get this right. Anyway, on behalf of the residents of Washington, I would like to ask for an update on Northumbria Police's position on Washington Police Station, and what will the police presence look like going forward?
Thank you for the question. So Washington Police Station is an old police station. It's not fit for purpose. It would cost a significant amount of money to refurbish it, to decarbonise it, to bring it up to the specification that it needs to be for today's standards. So we've made the decision that we're not going to do that refurbishment. We are going to come out of Washington Police Station and we are going to sell it in the immediate future. However, we are absolutely going to stay within Washington and have a police base there. We're looking now for what that police base may be. We've got a couple of options that are looking very, very positive. I can't talk about them now because we've not progressed to formally signing over a lease for them. But my absolute commitment to you here tonight is that we will remain with a positive police presence within Washington.
Okay. Supplementary, Mr. Mayor? Supplementary,
Yes,
Mr. Mayor?
please go ahead.
Right. Thank you, and thank you very much for that commitment to us. Could I ask that you work with us as a City Council, and particularly as Washington Area Committee, to keep us updated on what's happening so that those false and malicious rumours don't swirl around and make things difficult? I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
That's entirely reasonable, yes, of course.
Thank you very much. Councillor Paul Edgeworth, do you wish to ask a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, to the Commissioner, will you support our campaign to scrap the role of Police and Crime Commissioner and reinvest the budgets into frontline policing instead?
So you won't be surprised to know my answer to that is no. And I was really tempted just to leave it at that. But actually, I want to give you a bit of an explanation why. So the work that I do backs up policing. I am the link between the communities and individuals and businesses who work in this community with the police force, in the same way that as councillors, you are the link between those businesses and communities and individuals with how the council operates. So my role is to ensure that the police and crime plan is devised through consultation, and we had extensive consultation earlier in the year and last year, consultation with our communities, with our residents, to then ensure that policing in Northumbria reflects the wishes and the needs of the community. So we also provide impartial scrutiny. We operate the Police and Crime Panel, where I'm held to scrutiny, but I hold the Chief Constable to scrutiny to deliver on that plan, which is the plan of the people of Northumbria. I also have the ability to convene a wide range of people. So where a local authority has that power within its local authority area, I have that power across 6 local authorities to convene people, get people around the table to look at how we solve these problems. Because as the Chief Constable has said, and I have said, the answer isn't just to arrest our way out of that. That isn't going to work. So that's a really important role that I have regionally. And I suppose finally, and I argued this when I was a councillor, democracy has a price tag attached to it. To be open, inclusive and democratic, there's a cost there, and that comes from somewhere. If it didn't come from the Police and Crime Commissioner, it would come from a police authority, as we used to have in the past, and as we have within fire. I would suggest, and many of you in this room will say, well, of course you would, but I would suggest that it is a more effective use of public money going through my office and being able to deliver, because we also deliver directly as well in those areas that I talked about earlier, which reduces crime, which ultimately has to be everybody's aim, is to reduce crime, not just to deal with it when it's happened. So the answer to that question is no, for those reasons.
Supplementary, please, Mr.
Yeah, but if we keep it on topic, Paul.
Of course, thank you. Thanks for that comprehensive response. I think residents suffering from a plague of crime and antisocial behaviour, including in Grindon and Thorney Close in my area, will be disappointed in that response and certainly don't feel that the role is effective in getting issues tackled and isn't a good use of money. So would you agree with me that residents should vote Lib Dem next time so that a candidate will scrap the role of Police and Crime Commissioner and reinvest the money into frontline policing?
I'm not even going to back this up with an explanation why, just no. What I will say, though, and what I need to say is you've listened to the figures today. You might not want to believe what I say, but you've listened to the figures from the Chief Constable. Those figures are available publicly on Northumbria Police's website, on my website. There is not an epidemic of crime out there. Crime is actually reducing, and I think it is. People might not feel that, and that is a concern for me, and that's one of my major things. It's about people feeling safe and therefore engaging. So we have an issue about how we support people in understanding they can be. But it is really important that we don't feed into that narrative that our streets are out of control, because they are absolutely not. They're not in Sunderland and are not in the wider Northumbria area.
Thank you. Councillor Anthony Mull, do you wish to speak? You seemed a bit surprised there.
I didn't hear my own name, thank you. How many drivers have been issued notices of intention to prosecute and Section 172 notices as a result of being caught speeding by fixed, as opposed to mobile speed cameras within Sunderland over the last 12 months?
Thank you. So static speed camera results are excluded under Section 31 of the Freedom of Information Act, which means we don't have to disclose the numbers of views requested. And I think it's important that you understand why, we understand why that is the case, because there are some very important reasons why. And please forgive me, but I'm going to read these because it is important that we get them right. The reason that we don't is because publishing or sharing of such detailed data could have the following implications. So it could reveal patterns of enforcement which allow drivers to circumvent detection by adjusting their behaviour only where the camera is known to be active. They could reduce the deterrent effect of cameras, which is intended to encourage compliance with speed limits generally. They're not just an enforcement tool. And ultimately, they could increase road safety risks by enabling speeding with impunity. So that's the reason why I'm not going to answer the question with the figures that you like, because they are there to keep people safe on the roads. We know around our serious collisions, our accidents on the roads, and they are there as a prevention deterrence, and therefore informing the public of the data around it for all those reasons is something that we don't disclose.
Councillor Mullen.
Thank you. Can I suggest that the answer is 0 because none of the speed cameras in Sunderland work and haven't done for a number of years? 2 years ago, I raised this point and we were told that by the subsequent November they would be fixed. But the one that I raised in particular, still on Bede Bank on Durham Road, doesn't work. Can I have a date for when that will be fixed?
So the speed cameras and their upgrade, the additionality to them is all part of a broader partnership approach, which is actually led by Gateshead Council on behalf of all local authorities. So in order to be able to give you that, I'd have to go back to the partnership and find out what their plans are in relation to it. But I can assure you that there is a plan regarding the cameras. I actually think that, I mean, I see that some members find it amusing. I actually think that deaths on the roads is a very, very serious matter, and the prevention of that, and the prevention of deaths on the roads is something that we take very, very seriously. We've had a number of fatals recently, and speaking to the families of those people that have suffered. The cameras, I do appreciate the concern around them and around their activity, but they are also a very, very useful deterrent for us, and it's important that we utilise any tool that we can in order to prevent deaths and serious injuries on the roads.
Point of order.
Under what rule?
Point of clarification, Mr Mayor, I wasn't suggesting at all that I don't consider road deaths to be serious. On the contrary, the reason I've raised this on both occasions that the Chief Constable and PCC have come is because I do consider it to be serious, but think it would be better tackled by fixing the speed camera that I was told was going to be fixed a year ago.
Your point of personal clarification has been noted.
Can I just come in there? I think the point that the Chief Constable makes around who's responsible is really important. This isn't, the cameras are not a policing issue. We are part of a partnership with the 6 local authorities in the area that is managed by Gateshead, but on behalf of those partners. So you have representatives from this council on that partnership, as do the others. We are just a partner within that. They are looking at not necessarily replacing cameras, but putting new cameras in across the region. And that will be based on the data, on the evidence, on the intelligence, to ensuring that they're put in priority order in those places where there is the most danger caused by speeding vehicles. But I think it is unfair. It is not a Northumbria police issue. It's a partnership issue. And you have a voice around that table as a council.
Thank you for your clarification. Councillor Kelly-Checker, do you wish to ask a question?
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor, and I would like to welcome the Police and Crime Commissioner and the Chief Constable to Sunderland, and thank you very much for coming here this evening. And before I ask my question, I would just like to point out that Councillor Leonard is also very passionate about this issue and is our representative on said partnership and is pushing extremely hard for exactly the points that you've just raised, and I'm sure would value a conversation. Very happy to do so. So I will move on to my question, which is that we are, here in Sunderland, we are rightly proud of the strong partnership between Sunderland City Council and Northumbria Police, and most notably demonstrated through initiatives such as Project Shield, Operation Capio, and our 6 successful and valued antisocial behaviour hubs. These successes show the real difference that joint working can make to community safety. And my question is, what specific assurances can the Police and Crime Commissioner and the Chief Constable give to our residents that this collaborative approach will not only be sustained, but further strengthened so that our streets and neighbourhoods continue to become safer, feel safer, and be more welcoming places to live? Thank you.
So, first of all, thank you for the question. I want to reinforce how important the partnership with Sunderland is and how strong and positive that partnership is. And the local authority, the City Council, is one of those partners. But I think that councils and how councils view things and want to solve things actually play a big part in how partnership works. So I don't think it's an accident that it is so successful here. No other local authority at this stage has got the number of multidisciplinary hubs that you have got. We have seen the difference that the first three made, Halo, Sarah and Sale. And I can say personally, as Police and Crime Commissioner, I was absolutely delighted to learn that Sunderland was putting in the money for additional 3, because that's what needs to happen. I can never give you cast iron guarantees because I work in a political environment, as you do, in terms of finance. What I can give you a cast iron guarantee, though, is that the commitment from the Police and Crime Office and from Northumbria Police is to work in this way. And that it is, I think it's fair to say, it is a shared belief of myself and the Chief Constable that it is the way forward. If everybody is strapped for cash, then everybody can save a little bit by bringing that together. And it's interesting how often I am asked by other authorities about, well, can we do this? And my answer is, of course you can, but it is genuinely a partnership where everything is shared. I think some of the other things we've done around working with schools as well, Councillor Checker, is really important. So we did a project which was actually driven by officers in Northumbria Police called Hate to Riot, following on from the riot, and that was after talking to young people after that, and what were the things that had or could draw them into that kind of behaviour. And I went to see one of the productions from the group, and it was absolutely fabulous in terms of opening that up. So I suppose what I can say in terms of guarantee that we are increasing. A police force is not going to stop doing something that works unless it's really driven to not doing that. This works. We all know it works, the way that we work with Sunderland. So that commitment to find ways to continue, not just to do what we're doing, but to expand it, is absolutely there.
Thank you very much.
I haven't really got anything to add. I think you've covered it all. Place-based integrated working is absolutely the core of what I believe policing should be about. There is absolutely no plans to disinvest. In fact, we're only wanting to invest more in it because it's a preventative tool, as I spoke about before. It's the way that we need to do policing is in prevention.
I think the other thing it does as well is it's part of that neighbourhood policing guarantee, because it is about not just having police officers out on the street, but actually embedded in communities, in buildings that people might use to go to a toddler group, to go to an afternoon tea, to go to bingo, whatever. So people can call in, they can talk to the police in confidence in those facilities, but they can also at the same time talk to housing, talk to probation, talk to whoever. And also those members of staff can talk to each other as well. They don't have to send an email or make a phone call. So, yeah, I just think it's fabulous.
Thank you very much. And now a question from Councillor Haswell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. First of all, just while it was a positive step, would you agree, Commissioner, agree with my residents that Operation Capio has failed to tackle the motorcycle menace and disorder in our communities across Wearside? And as a slight note, it's not a supplementary, you mentioned the Chief Constable mentioned about reporting and everybody gets a call back. It isn't working. We aren't getting callbacks and my residents aren't either. Thank you.
So, I mean, I can answer. I don't do the operational policing, so some of this is probably better coming from the Chief Constable. But no, I don't agree that it's failed. I think we've got a massive, massive problem, not just in Wearside, but across the region and indeed across the country. And any of you who watch the national mainstream news will know that's the case. And I think it's already been explained to you by the Chief Constable what those difficulties are. That The clues in the title, a lot of it is off-road. They might be on pavements, but they can go down alleys between houses, they can go across grass. It is really difficult to deal with at the time, and it is about reporting. If you have specific details where people are not getting calls returned to them, then please go back to the police and let them know in the first instance, because my understanding is, and again, it is represented through data when we talk to people, is that now they do see a difference. That officers are getting back to them. They might not get back to them immediately because it's not something that can be solved immediately, because even if you had a police officer on every corner, by the time they get to where the bike is, it's gone. So we share that frustration. I certainly share that frustration. I'm out week in, week out, talking to residents across this patch, and I know the frustration. I know the danger that it causes. I know the fear that it causes. It's absolutely an issue. But to say that we have failed or are not doing anything is absolutely unfair. What we also do as well is through the PolEd programme and some work with the fire service across the region is actually working with young people about the responsibility if they've got a bike or a scooter, what the law is, and actually what the impact of that work is as well.
Supplementary, Mr Mayor?
Councillor Ladwell, you asked 2 questions there.
Oh.
All right, but please keep it quick.
Thank you. I appreciate you acknowledging that the problem still exists. Other forces around the country, I understand, are starting to go back to pursuing some of the bikes in a sensible fashion, not knocking them up, but pursuing them seriously to try and catch the riders. Would you consider again adopting this policy in the region? And then also, would you consider staking your reputation on making significant inroads in this problem before the end of your term? Thank you.
I'll answer the second bit very briefly, in that it's part of the police and crime plan. So yes, and we have made inroads into it. We seize bikes. I know people are sitting shaking their heads and the rest of it, but actually you have to look broader than the people that you talk to. We seize bikes, we take bikes off the road, we prosecute people for it. So there has been a difference already. Completely solving it, I'm not going to stake my... No, because I'm never going to completely solve it. The police aren't going to completely solve it. What I'm going to do in terms of your question about chasing, which I think has all kinds of issues, but is an operational matter, is passed to the Chief Constable.
Thank you. Just in relation to this, and it comes back to the sort of whole approach to this, because we need our communities and our residents to help us with this as well. So those families that are considering buying e-bikes for their young loved ones this Christmas need to really think about the consequences of buying bikes as well, because we will do everything we can while the bikes are out there, but actually you've got young children riding these bikes off-road up to 70 miles an hour, and I think we all need to look at that and educate people around the dangers. Across Northumbria, we have seized over 1,400 bikes this year alone, and the statistic in Sunderland is that we seized in the last 3 months over 100 bikes. So we are removing these bikes. The difficulty is that they're just bought again off the internet very often, and people are back riding them very, very quickly. So I think we all need to take an approach around this. We are doing as much as we can. In relation to your question around pursuing bikes, so we have invested in off-road motorbikes that we didn't have before, because many of them, as you know, go into our fields and go onto our tracks and alleyways. It's very, very difficult to pursue these bikes. You may have seen some reports nationally. When riders come off them, then the police are held to blame in some occasions for pursuing them. Sometimes it's best not to pursue them. We have lots of other tactics. You'll have heard about our investment in drones. Drones are a far more effective and safer way of pursuing some of these bikes than actually an off-road motorcyclist who's perhaps endangering themselves, but certainly potentially endangering the public. I mean, I've walked my dog and I felt, you know, the bikes coming, and if there was a police pursuing them, it might be encouraging them to drive faster, more dangerously, and actually it can have a really bad knock-on effect. So we're looking at other ways we can do it. Alleyways, we're looking at where we can cut off routes and do lots of different things. So pursuing is one tactic, but it has to be very carefully risk assessed because the dangers can be more significant than actually not pursuing it on that occasion.
Can I just say as well, I'm pretty sure that we're running a campaign jointly with the force leading up to Christmas around the sales of these bikes, which is aimed at those parents, because the young people, or the people who are on these bikes and scooters, they fall into two camps really. They fall into the silly kids whose parents have bought them this thing, not realise the legal implications, not realise the restrictions on where they can be used. So we're doing some work around that, and also working with retailers, which is sometimes more difficult because they've got a product to sell. The other side of it is the organised crime side of it, where they're being used in the commission of dealing drugs or whatever. That is more difficult because we can take out a bike and a young person, but there'll be another bike and another young person there next week. I worked in a youth justice team in Northumberland, and we had this issue over, it was particularly off-road bikes then, in the 80s and 90s. It's not a new issue. What is new is the new types of bikes, particularly the electric ones that can now be bought by anybody at any time. But I know when you're talking about police chases, I know the young people I worked with then stole bikes and cars to get the police to chase them because that was what the thrill was. That will still be there. And that is so, so dangerous because, as we know, young people think they're invincible, so they'll push it to the limit.
Thank you. And a final question from Councillor Mullen.
Thank you. A resident of my ward, and indeed yours, Mr Mayor, has been informed that a criminal act reported by them to the police cannot be recorded as a crime because the person reporting was not the victim. The police said in a residents' meeting that this is force policy, even though they personally disagree with it because it runs contrary to Home Office guidance. Can the Chief Constable comment on what force policy is in relation to recording crime when the complainant is not the victim?
Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, my colleague in the community meeting was incorrect. We don't have a separate force policy that is different from the Home Office policy. They are called the Home Office counting rules, and that's the way that you record crime and incidents. And we follow the counting rules. We don't have a separate deviate from it. So unfortunately, I must apologise to the community members that were at that meeting because that is not our policy, a separate policy. Anyone who's ever worked in police, the counting rules are like this. They are very, very complicated. And I'm really happy to have a discussion in greater detail with you about it. But they are very specific about when you do and when you don't record a crime. So if it is not the victim of the crime or a third party reporting on behalf, and there are specific definitions, so that's like parents, carers, professional third party reports, then if there is no victim, then we record it as a crime-related incident, not a crime. As I say, it is particularly complex. I'm really happy to take you through this. But I think the most important thing here is that Northumbria Police is not operating a separate policy and just recording crimes as and when we think. We do follow the Home Office guidance.
Councillor Mullen.
Thank you for the clarification and apology, but I wonder if, given that this is what a resident has been told by a police officer, if I can return to the earlier comment that there's a decline in reporting which should be welcomed, isn't it also the case that there's a decline in reporting because people are losing confidence in the police if officers on the front line are getting this kind of information wrong?
So I'd be really interested in the specific example, if you'd like to share that with me, and we'll have a look. I don't think we can say that there's a decline in public confidence because of what one officer has said at a community meeting. I'll find out the details from you and make sure that we accurately do that. But I don't think it's right that just because of what one person said in a community meeting. I haven't had any other people write to me, and people write to me lots and lots. I get lots of letters every week reporting this is a particular issue. But I will go back and just check what officers' understanding is.
Thank you very much. I actually now remember I was sat next to you when that happened, wasn't I? Thank you to the Police and Crime Commissioner and the Chief Constable for coming along to the meeting today and for answering members' questions. While you are very welcome to stay, please also feel free to leave as well.
Say thank you for inviting us, and we will come back. But we will leave now, if that's...
Thank you, Susan. We now move on to the leader's update.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. It's a pleasure to be able to update Council on a few things that have happened since the last meeting. One thing I just want to touch on, first of all, is that I'm delighted that the 12 North East local authorities, through the Association of North East Councils, which I have the honour of chairing, have a long-standing tradition of collaboration on shared regional priorities, and we've applied to the Local Government Association to create a North East Special Interest Group. Mr Mayor, we believe the ENX Special Interest Group would be an efficient mechanism for collective advocacy and coordinated action, complement the LGA's wider role in strengthening local government's influence on a national level. So that application is about to be submitted, Mr Mayor, and it's got the support of all 12 local authorities across the North East, and I think that would be a good tool to ensure that Sunderland's voice is heard at a national level. Mr Mayor, just moving more closer to home, a couple of things I want to touch on now. I was absolutely delighted 2 weekends ago that the Keele Crossing finally opened to the public, and to watch the crowds on the way to another remarkable Sunderland EFC 3 points at the Stadium Light, Mr Mayor, and just to place on record my admiration to the club, and I think we should have a conversation around how we memorialise Dan Ballard for all he's done recently in that amazing tackle that secured a point against Arsenal. But Mr Mayor, the Keele Crossing is a remarkable achievement. It links both sides of the river and expands the perimeter of the city centre. It is a centrepiece of the Riverside Sunderland master plan, and it would absolutely enable people on both sides of the river to connect to the amazing job opportunities that's being created on Riverside Sunderland. Mr Mayor, the child poverty strategy, I'm delighted to report that following Cabinet's approval of a consultative draft of our first child poverty strategy, we have a strong practical example of the excellent work taking place to support children and families, with Children's Services Baby Plus project, B2B, celebrating over a quarter of a century of supporting young parents and parents-to-be. The citywide B2B service offers guidance, education courses and training opportunities, as well as physical and emotional support to young mothers aged between 16 and 20 from pregnancy until their child turns 5 years old. Its team of 12 have supported more than 3,000 city parents since opening its doors, and it operates an on-site nursery for children of parents they are supporting. So I'm absolutely delighted with that work, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, people might have seen the plans to overhaul a key stretch of High Street West for potential new offices have taken a step forward. The application site comprises 4 development plots, including the existing Sports Direct store, an adjacent Dickinson's unit, the former Marks and Spencer's store, and the now demolished site of the former Argos and Mothercare store, and the exciting West Walk retail unit located between Queen Street and the Holiday Inn. With a decision due in November, Capital and Centric have been appointed to provide a development management service on the project following a Cabinet decision. And if anyone's had a chance to look online, Mr Mayor, and see the types of projects that Capital and Centric have delivered across the country, I think this is a really exciting opportunity that will help reanimate High Street West and expand the central business district from the site where we are currently across St Mary's Way onto High Street West. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that work progresses in the months ahead. Mr Mayor, the Museum and Winter Gardens, we've been successful in securing £5.2 million from the National Heritage Fund to transform the city's much-loved museum and winter gardens. The plans will see exciting changes, including the relocation of the main entrance into our award-winning Mowbray Park, new exhibition galleries and displays, brand new touchdown and social spaces, as well as improvements to the Winter Gardens external landscape and public realm. There will also be the creation of a new community learning facility, the Growing Space, that will complement the community garden adjacent to the Winter Gardens. Mr Mayor, colleagues might have seen in September that the Council's Planning and Highways Committee approved an application for the future use of an industrial unit at Hillthorne Business Park, with the site set to become home to Nissan's new training hub in Washington. Designed to support the region's transition to electric vehicle and battery manufacturing, this facility will form part of the wider Skills and Innovation Centres initiative and are expected to become home of Made UK, the manufacturing, automation, digitalisation and electrification, which is not that easy to say, Mr Mayor. It's led by Nissan in collaboration with regional partners. The initiative is set to receive £9.6 million worth of funding from the North East Combined Authority and will serve as a strategic asset for the North East advanced manufacturing sector. And I'm absolutely delighted with the next one, Mr Mayor, and I'm sure the leader of the majority party in opposition will be too. The Pride in Places programme. Sunderland is set to receive up to £41.5 million as part of the government's Pride in Places programme, which the government says gives long overlooked communities the certainty and control they need to plan for the future. Areas have been identified through the country which will be receiving pots of up to £20 million each over 10 years, with 2 identified in Sunderland, Thorney Close and Plains Farm, and Hendon and the Docks. And local people will decide how funding is spent, aimed at reviving high streets, restoring parks and breathing new life in the pubs, leisure centres and community halls. We are eagerly awaiting the guidance from the government, Mr Mayor, about how we will move forward in setting them parks up. But as a ward councillor in Hendon, and as often joked, Keir Starmer's personal appointed puppet in this council, I'm absolutely delighted to have been able to bring home £20 million to Hendon as part of that, and I look forward to driving that forward in the years ahead, Mr Mayor. Not so bad. And I'd have to say that the people of Hendon have had more money in the first 15 months of this government than they did in 15 years under the previous government, Mr Mayor. So that says it all. And finally, Mr Mayor, the opening of HICSA on Friday. I had the honour of attending the official opening of the Sunderland College's £20 million Housing, Innovation and Construction Skills Academy, alongside Education Secretary and one of our local MPs, Bridget Phillipson. Mr Mayor, this state-of-the-art facility will train up to 40,000 future professionals in construction and engineering, playing a vital role in the city's economic growth and skills development. Sunderland College's new status as a technical excellent college, one of only 10 nationally, reflects the ambition and talent within our city. The partnership with Velux, which includes a new training academy within HICSA, will further support sustainable building practices and empower learners at every stage. HICSA is a cornerstone of our commitment to connecting residents with jobs, aspirations and brighter futures, and I extend my sincere thanks to all who contributed to a successful delivery, but in particular to Patrick, the Chief Executive, for all he's done, but to Ella Tennyson, the outgoing Chief Executive of Education Partnership North East, for all her drive and ambition in bringing this forward. This is truly a remarkable regional facility that will benefit the people of Sunderland, and I'm sure we will see the future builders of the country come through HICSA that will deliver the new housing and construction that we need as a city. Because we've got so much on the agenda, Mr Mayor, I'm going to pause there because I would like to get through as much as the business on today's agenda as humanly possible before 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paul Edgeworth.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thanks to the leader for the update. It's obviously great to welcome the £20 million for Thorney Close and Springwell, coupled with Lindsay Leonard's support for our Hastings Hill crossing replacement. You lot are determined to get me re-elected. Thank you very much for that. There has been some disquiet with the Washington Town Board and how that has been managed and run, and how the lack of openness and transparency and involvement with residents in allocating that money, which is similar, set up to the Pride in Place funding. I appreciate we're waiting guidance from MHCLG, but can the leader give some assurances that this council will approach these boards, neighbourhood boards, in a properly open, transparent way that will properly involve all ward councillors from all parties and, crucially, residents beyond the usual suspects, to make sure that the money is spent on things that people need and want?
Absolutely, Mr Mayor. I'd absolutely give a cast-iron assurance that these boards would be resident-led, more so than the input and direction of councillors, RC, residents leading this board. I got my start in local politics as a young person's rep on Back on the Map. That is the basis for these Pride in Places, is the formal New Deal for communities. Back on the Map, when it was in NDC, was absolutely resident-led. These new Pride in Places will absolutely be resident-led.
Paul.
Thank you. Obviously, some welcome developments on the Winter Gardens, sticking to the subject of culture. Obviously, the leader previously said that he would update the opposition and residents about Glassworks and the future of the Glass Centre when he was ready to do so. There are still a lot of concerns that there hasn't been enough engagement with particularly glass makers about the viability of that project. So what update can he give opposition councillors and campaigners who are here today about what is happening with the future of the Glass Centre? Thank you.
Mr Mayor, I'd say there's a meeting being organised for the 19th of November in this chamber. I'm more than happy for people to be aware of that. In terms of Glassworks, things are moving forward. You see, it's a project that is led by Sunderland Culture, not by the City Council. We've secured the funding from the North East Combined Authority to make the building watertight. Sunderland Culture are now in the process of developing that project, and I'm sure when I've got an update, I'm more than happy to share it. But if you want an update on the progress of where it is currently, Paul, you're best off reaching out to Sunderland Culture as they're leading the project.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mullen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I thought this meeting we were going to finally get an update on whether or not Denny Wilson is a member of the Labour group, but I think we might just have to put that. He's raising a point of order.
No. Mr. Mayor.
Mr Mayor, can I answer that?
Is it a point of personal clarification, Denny?
Yes. We all remember? No.
Right.
Can I answer?
Go on, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Sorry, with the caveat that you'll keep it short, because I don't want to go on about this way. Sorry, Denny. Please continue.
I said I would resign if we couldn't get a meeting held in public by the leader. The leaders agreed to that. It's next week in here. So I'm sure he'll give you the details all about it and how it's all going to be organised. Unfortunately, Mr Mayor, I intended to play a leading role in that, but I can't now because the leader says I'm out as the area chair, and not just that, apart from Councillor Ty.
Right.
None of my colleagues in the Labour group aren't as in.
No, we'll move on. Thank you very much, Councillor Denny Wilson. Right, I just want you to say a couple of words because he addressed you directly, but honestly, none of this is in the agenda and we do have a lot to go through. So thank you so much for your contribution, Councillor Mullen, and please ask the question to the leader, not the councillors. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we got the clarification there. He's not a member of the Labour Party anymore. Just back on... He is. I thought you just said he's not. Oh, right. Well, I might have to ask him again.
It's fluid.
On the Pride in Places, the leader mentioned Thorny Close and Plains Farm and gestured to Paul, but of course the north half of Plains Farm is in the Barnes ward. Is the Pride in Places funding just for Plains Farm South? And if it is, will he commit to match funding it with council money to cover an equal amount of investment in Plains Farm North?
Yeah, exactly. God loves to try it. The boundaries for the Pride in Places have been determined by the government, and the boundaries of low super output areas, it's defined. There is some scope to move the boundaries, but that's got to be on evidence basis. As you say, we're waiting for the guidance to come through. Once we have that, I want to get the ball rolling very quickly, get these up and running, get forums where we get residents together, local voluntary sector organisations in the place, and really come up with a plan of how we can maximise the benefit of this funding over the next 10 years. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Mullen.
Thank you. And of course, the development with the Keele crossing is massively welcome, but there have been reports online that it's quite dark on a night, that the light isn't sufficient, that some of the lights have already started to go off, that some of the tarmac is coming up, and that some residents feel that when it's windy, it's not safe to cross it because it feels like it's shaking. Can he outline what the long-term maintenance programme for the bridge is?
Well, we've got a question on that, I think, from one of your candidates at the election, so I'll just bring that item forward, Mr Mayor. But absolutely, there has been some issues with the lighting that have been resolved, and I've noticed I've been across it now twice in the dark, and I found it quite bright. But like I say to people who have raised this with me, this is a brand new significant infrastructure project. There will always be snagging and teething issues. When you buy a house, you're often told to wait 6 months and you find any defects and they will get corrected. So the issue has been with the lighting. Is to my knowledge, and I've been over the bridge twice on a night, 3 or 4 times during the day, I've never seen a single issue with the tarmac. But as I say, there is an issue with the lights. It is being resolved. And as far as concern about people feeling it's not safe to cross, that's absolutely not my experience. And if you have any residents bringing that up, Anthony, please get in touch, because you see it's been crossed over by thousands and thousands of people since it's opened, and it's the first time I've heard anyone raise an issue with it. And again, I am a little bit suspicious about the context it's being raised in a political forum.
Thank you very much, Leader.
Point of order, Mr Mayor.
Under what rule, Councillor?
Under Rule 14.1c, could I move a motion to change the order of business in the agenda so that item 13, receipt of petitions, is moved to the next item of business, please?
Is that seconded?
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
Right. Can we have a show of hands in favour of Councillor Edgeworth's proposal? No. Right. That's moved. The next item is reception of petitions. Do any members have petitions to present? Councillor Phil Tighe. Edgeworth, Councillor Edgeworth. Councillor Wood, Councillor Hartnack, Councillor Denny Wilson. Any more? No.
So, Mr Mayor, the petitions that are presented by Councillors Tighe, Edgeworth, Wood, Hartnack and Wilson.
Councillor Phil Tighe, do you wish to speak?
I do, Mr Mayor, and thank you very much. I'd like to hand this petition to Council, which is to save glassblowing in the National Glass Centre in the historic St Peter's, Sunderland. This petition is signed by a total of 40,516 members of the public, residents of both the city and the wider area, and is testament to the work being undertaken by the Save Glassblowing and National Glass Centre campaign group who are present tonight. I think it shows that the group are being listened to. We are reflecting on the comments that have been made, and the public meeting that will be held in the forthcoming weeks will also allow us to hear further and understand exactly where the group is, and to be supported further by us, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tighe. Councillor Edgeworth.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thanks to colleagues for supporting the attempt to hand petitions in, and thanks to the Deputy Mayor, who I think was the only Labour councillor who supported the same move at the last meeting. I have two petitions. One is CCTV in the Extension Park. We, the undersigned, petition Sunderland Council to install CCTV covering the Extension Park in the Springwell and Grindon areas. And the second petition is CCTV at Hastings Hill Shops. We, the undersigned, petition Sunderland City Council to install CCTV covering the area around the shops on Sevenoaks Drive, Hastings Hill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Woods.
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
I'm not sure how duplicates work, but I agree entirely with Councillor Ty, and I have a very similar document. It was my understanding that we were all going to contribute together, about 10,129 each. But Councillor Ty has stolen that particular thunder by handing it in already for all of them. However, can I take this opportunity to say that we've handed in petitions before, and I hope that the meeting next Wednesday in this room between 6 and 8, if I understand correctly, will give further light and help support the 40,000 people who have signed this petition.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hartnack.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I too are honoured to present 10,129 signatures by way of petition from the people of Sunderland and beyond. That 10,129 signatures is part of a 40,516 name petition signed so far to challenge the decision of the university, who originally claimed it was going to cost £45 million to rectify problems with the building. They've recently revised that figure to £8 million, and the real figure we believe is only £6 million. Sunderland Council must intervene and save Sunderland Glass Centre. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hartnack. Councillor Denny Wilson. It's not the same one, is it? It is. Right, okay, Councillor Denny Wilson.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to present this presentation to save glass blowing. Have you heard this before? To save glass blowing at the National Glass Centre in historic St Peter's, Sunderland. These people deserve medals like frying pans. They've really gone on and on and on about this, and let's support this petition, please. Thank you.
Can we agree to refer these to the appropriate chief officer? Thank you. Right, back to where we were. I now call upon Councillor Beth Jones to move the Area Arrangements Annual Report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This evening I'd like to ratify the 24-25 annual report for our area committees. So as Sunderland City Council's Cabinet Member for Communities, Culture and Tourism, I'm thrilled to present the report for our area committees, which showcases the power of partnership, local knowledge and what happens when we put communities at the heart of everything we do. From the coalfield to the coast, from Washington to the west, each of our 5 area committees, Coalfield, East, North, Washington and West Sunderland, has worked hand in hand with local groups, volunteers and partners to make real visible impact. It marks the 2nd year of our ambitious 23-26 area plans, and I think it's fair to say that the results speak for themselves. Together we've supported innovative projects, strengthened community resilience, championed culture and created places that residents are proud to call home. Thanks to our area committees, we've seen playgrounds reopened, community halls that are buzzing with life, green spaces revitalised and people of all ages getting involved in shaping their neighbourhoods. In 2024-25, we invested over £2.5 million directly into the communities of Sunderland, Washington and the coalfields. And with that funding, we've unlocked a further £523,000 in external support. And that's real value for money and real outcomes for our local people and our residents. In total, 348 grant payments were made to our city's voluntary and community sector, totaling over £2 million, enabling local groups to deliver everything from youth programmes to mental health support, creative workshops to crisis assistance. None of this would be possible without our brilliant local partners, the VCSE organisations, dedicated volunteers and tireless officers in the area arrangement team. We've brought this work to life. Their commitment makes our city not only a city of heritage and heart, but one of hope and one of ambition. Work in our local communities remains a cornerstone of local democracy and a driving force behind our city plan. This report gives just a flavour of the impact made this year and a glimpse of what's still to come. I've had the pleasure to participate in tours around the footprints of the area committees and attended some of the wider area committee meetings outside of Washington, where I've seen and heard firsthand about the amazing work that goes on and will continue to over the forthcoming months. So the examples, too many to name, but the coalfields, we had the Litter Free for Wildlife, the Detectives Course, Clean It, Green It, and supporting the Connor Brown Trust for 10 bleed kits. For the East, we had Fancy a Day Out, East Rangers, and the Can Do Grant. Washington, we had Creative You, we had the Washington Heritage Partnership, received some funding that contributed to them, creating the Ballad of the Crocodile in the Underpass, which has been shortlisted for an award at the North East Culture Awards. We've had the Fire Brigade delivering the Phoenix and the Spark projects, and we have the amazing Clean and Green project. In the West, there's been 936 youth sessions delivered. We've got the Safer Spaces, we've got Clean and Green and the Rangers project. And in the North, we've been able to support veterans in crisis, and as well as contributing some money to the renovations of the Full World War Memorial. So colleagues, these aren't just plans and budgets, the proof of what we can achieve across Sunderland, Washington and the coalfields when we pull together. And I'm incredibly proud of what has been delivered over the past year, 24-25, and I'm even more excited about what lies ahead. And with that, I would ask you all to endorse this report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Beth. I was meant to ask you for a seconder, but I didn't want to interrupt. Do you have a seconder, Beth?
Yeah, we've got Councillor Mel Spedden.
Councillor Mel Spelling, do you second the report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I second the report and reserve the right to speak.
If anyone else wishes to speak, please raise your hands.
Mr Mayor, we've had prior notice from councillors Dixon, Edgeworth and Curtis. Leader, Councillor Tye.
Susan.
Councillor Watson.
Fiona Tobin.
Councillor Tobin. So, Mr Mayor, the speakers are councillors Dixon, Edgeworth, Curtis, Mordy, Tye, Watson, Tobin. Councillor Spedding reserved the right to speak and Councillor Jones has the right of reply.
Councillor Dixon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Before commencing what I have to say, I'd just like to mention the recent death of Claire Roundtree. I had many conversations with Claire over the years, and her goodness and sincerity were clear for all to see. And despite the great sadness when her father, Councillor Geoffrey Walker, died, she took the trouble to ring me and invite me along as an opposition councillor to his funeral. And that's something I won't forget. And along with many of you here today, I attended her funeral and what was a really desperately sad day. We welcome the annual report of area committees for 24-25, and it's just a pity that we're discussing a report nearly 5 months after it was brought before full council. The clearest possible indication of the way in which the council conducts its business requires serious reconsideration, which we will be discussing later during the meeting. I've been a member of the East Area Committee for many years, and there is, and indeed always has been, a very good working relationship between councillors of differing political persuasions, all aiming towards the common purpose. It may be good coincidence or good fortune that the councillors on the East Area Committee over the years have just been those type of people who fully implemented its ethos. Maybe it's also helped that there's been a political balance which has encouraged teamwork. Either way, it works. In reiterating what has been said in the report, I'd like to comment briefly on two everyday aspects of our area arrangements. The first of which is the hard and dedicated work of our officers for councillors on every committee. In the East Area, as an example, I and councillors have been fortunate enough to have worked with one dynamic and very resourceful support officer who was there for years before moving on to another important role in the council, and another who then stepped in brilliantly to manage 2 area committees at the same time until the end of the council year. Both were a credit to the council and massively supportive of councillors. And secondly, when considering area arrangements, I would like to support what has been previously said and pay tribute to the voluntary and community sector and the excellent work they carry out. We must all have countless examples of their dedication to others of all ages, most working way beyond the call of duty. These people and other groups with whom we make contact do make such a difference, and to provide funding and support for their countless projects must surely be one of the most satisfying parts of being a councillor. I've conferred with my colleagues in the Conservative group, Councillors Graham King and Councillor Reid, support what I've said about the East area, spoken to Councillors McDonough, Bernicle and Mullen about the West area, and also to Councillor Hartnack, who feels similarly about the North area, but speaks very highly of the previous area chair, Councillor Denny Wilson, who I think he misses. And there are slight reservations he has about some literature informing households of the work being carried out by this area committee being delivered possibly just weeks before the May local elections. Clearly, I'm not involved in this area committee, but as a group, we believe it is vital that work is carried out by all area committees and is free from anything that could be remotely seen as political opportunism. Looking ahead, as a party, we raised with the Cabinet member and senior officers some 6 months ago, and about which there has been no response, the issue of getting the structures and remit of area committees agreed for the 2026-27 council year. So Conservative councillors believe the council should, as a matter of great urgency, set up a working group to discuss the future arrangements of area committees, with something in place sooner than later, especially with the new wards post-May 2026 crossing over into the parts covered by more than one area committee. There's a good deal of expertise available on this council from within the ranks of all 3 of the main political parties. So for this exercise to be meaningful, I would suggest 3 members of each political group form a body to work with officers to discuss the future arrangements. Area committees are a massively important and valuable part of this council. They require a guaranteed and meaningful future, so we need to be looking ahead at all its components as soon as possible in an open and democratic way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was exactly 5 minutes. Councillor Edgeworth.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just had some questions on the report that Michael Dixon has already touched on, but could the portfolio holder update Council about what the plans for our committees are beyond 2026 and what consultation is being done with community groups and others about boundaries, but also roles and responsibilities? It would be useful to have some reassurances that budgets and autonomy will be protected next year so that committees can still get the things done that they want and that the Council centrally won't do. Thanks.
Councillor Alan Curtis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Could I start off by echoing some of the comments that Councillor Dixon's has made about the way the area arrangement managers actually do their business? Over the past, 3.5 years, we saw Nicole, we saw Jilly come in and manage 2 of the areas. We've saw Fiona, and we've also got Callum, who's doing a tremendous job after just being in the role for just a few months. I had the opportunity before Fiona left to actually meet all the area arrangements team when she was actually leaving on the last day. And from all areas, there seemed to be a really good team. But I want to focus more on how the area arrangements team has actually helped the people in Doxford, especially focused on the youth provision and the youth provision that we have as well. So within the East area, we have a youth provision fund where they can go to where different youth projects, such as the Box Youth and Community Project in Doxford, has really benefited from this, and it helps like bring the youth into the centre, considering there's very few community assets that we've got, and that support has really helped the children in there. And a few of the other things which has been mentioned by Councillor Jones today is actually like the Can Do projects, where the young people can come in, apply for a pot of money. I do believe that they do it in the Coalfields area as well, which is even more prevalent. And it gives the opportunity to young people to come in and like make a presentation to us to bid for the money. And the youth in the East area seem to want to do it for the community with all the right reasons, and I think that's fantastic. Now, one of the other things we've also got, which is available to us, is the community chest, and I think using that for the communities that we've got is absolutely brilliant, such as we've given, like all three councillors in the area, and yes, we do work as like different teams, because we've got the Lib Dems and we've got myself. So we've provided money to things like schools to provide music equipment. We've also gave money to other projects like the Mothers and Tiddlers group, so they can have a day out. And we've also provided funds towards SAPS, which is it covers the whole of Sunderland, which helps people on a various amounts of ways. So I think it's very important that when we've got this money, that we spend it wisely and we give it to our community. And that's all I wanted to say. But as I say, I think it's working very well, and I look forward to dealing with it in the future as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Michael Maudy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, I want to just add my voice to how I believe the East Area Committee is one of the best area committees in the city. We have worked brilliantly across party over many years for the betterment of the residents in our area. I want to pay a particular tribute to the amazing voluntary and community sector organisations in the Hendon ward, from Julie and the amazing team in Chance in the East End through to Back on the Map in Middle Hendon. They are the lifeblood of the local community down there, and we're delighted to work with them year in, year out to provide services for the people of Hendon, the East End and Grangetown. So I just wanted to use this opportunity of the Area Committee's report, Mr. Mayor, to pay my personal tribute to the voluntary sector who do so much for the people of Hendon Ward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Michael. I do believe the West area is the best, but we'll let you off. Councillor Phil Tighe.
Yes, and you've stolen me thunder, Mr. Mayor. But I do have this voice ringing above us at the minute from the late Peter Gibson, my ward colleague, that would shout from the bellows of his voice that West is best. And I'm going to tell you why West is best, because it generally is best. And it's best for a few reasons. It's best because it's the most dynamic in the city, politically. We have a member of each political party on there, whether it be independent, Conservative, Liberal or Labour. It's an absolute testament to the work that goes on. We come here, we have a bit of a joke now and again. We call it theatre amongst us, but when we get out there, when we get into things like area committee, that theatre stops. We also have you, Mr. Mayor, as well. That sits on there, so further dynamics. We have the leader of the Liberal group sits on there. We'll have the leader of the Conservative group sits on there. So if you put all them complexities together, if there was ever going to be one that was going to be a nightmare to manage, it would be that one. And it's not. It just works and comes together because we've only got the same ambition, and that's to make the residents of them particular area committees, make it work for them. Incidentally as well, in my ward colleague, Joanne's not here, and unfortunately her mum has passed away and she's on bereavement leave, but it's the one area committee with a female running it. we actually have Sir Watson as the vice chair. So not only just we have a female chair, we also have a female vice chair. And I think that features good things to it as well on how Joanne manages that and doesn't play that politics game in there. I'm going to have to see it, to be fair, Mr Mayor, because you're the person that experiences it meeting after meeting. I've got Stephen on there. And he behaves at that particular meeting as well, to be fair. So I think it's fair. Michael, as leader, can claim anything he wants about the East Area Committee, but West is best, will continue to be best, and it has the best councillors that make up that for the right decisions for this city, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. It's actually the least political meeting I attend. Councillor Sue Watson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I'd like to take this moment to talk about the fantastic work being done by our area committee. That's the West I'm talking about. And the difference they're making right across our communities. Area committees play a vital role in encouraging and involving local people, community groups and organisations in shaping and delivering our area plans and priorities. These priorities are designed to meet the real needs of the residents, the people who live, work and volunteer in our wards every day. I want to highlight the immense value that our residents, local organisations and the voluntary sector bring to this work. Their local knowledge, their passion and their willingness to get involved and make enormous differences to our areas. They provide essential facilities and services, but just as importantly, they help make sure what we do truly reflects the needs and the ambitions of our communities. Through the West Area Community Funding, we've supported an impressive range of projects that have made a real difference across our wards. For example, Neighbourhood Fund supporting 96 projects over the year, attracting more than £312,000 match funding. The Community Chest awarded grants averaging £1,000 to 56 community groups. The Safer Spaces Initiative funded numerous environmental improvements, and our Clean and Green programme invested £191,000 in things like cleaning paths, painting street furniture, litter picking, graffiti removal. Together, these projects have helped make our neighbourhoods cleaner, greener and safer, and have had a positive impact on people's everyday lives. In the ward I represent, area committee funding have helped achieve some fantastic improvements, including supporting a variety of activities for all ages, hosting coffee mornings to bring people together and reduce isolation, providing equipment for community centres, installing picnic benches, CCTVs, fencing, lighting, all helping people to feel safer and more connected in their local areas. And of course, that's just a snapshot. There are so many other projects and initiatives happening across the communities, which I simply don't have time to list. Before I finish, I want to give a special thank you to Gilly Stanley, our area coordinator. Gilly's passion, dedication and tireless work make such a difference to the success of our area committee. I'm sure my colleagues in the West area will join me in expressing a sincere appreciation for everything she does and for the positive impact she continues to have on our communities. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, Sue, and I echo your thanks to Gilly as a member in the West area as well. Councillor Fiona Tobin.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just another voice from the West is Best gang over here. I just wanted to just really briefly take a moment to celebrate the work of volunteers and to do a shout out for the volunteers that do take part tirelessly in all weathers, that do, particularly with the Clean and Green team funded through the West Area Committee. Since I've been elected last year, I've had the privilege of joining them on quite a few litter picks and gardening events, and as well as the West Area Family Fun Day in Barnes Park. And you can see just how dedicated and passionate people are about keeping communities vibrant and welcoming. And being a volunteer is transformative, so that's my little shout out for yourselves. I know we're all, in some capacity, we're volunteers. It's getting outside, getting stuck in with a bit of gardening, and I actually quite enjoy litter picking. I know it's quite controversial, but seeing the bags piling up is quite satisfying. And you always get chatting to people about the local area, and it's just a really enjoyable thing to do. And it's so satisfying to see that it's come particularly through the West Area, which I will echo colleagues to say it's one of the most collaborative meetings across the whole of the work we do here. And it goes far beyond just tidying up streets and green spaces, but it's bringing people together, getting outside and encouraging pride in where we live, to be safer, cleaner and more enjoyable for everybody. So I'm delighted to fully endorse the report. Thank you.
Councillor Wilson, did you want to speak?
Certainly did,
Please
Mr.
proceed.
Mayor. I was riled by the West is best. I wasn't going to keep quiet. Shows your beach, shows your windmills, your castles, Stadium of Light, Olympic-sized swimming pool. Get to Thompson's Park. Get to Thompson's Park and see the golden toilet, the most expensive toilet in the world that cabinet members have pushed for. Mr. Mayor, we've got in the North area, we've got the most affluent ward in Sunderland at Seaburn, and we've got some of the poorest. And one of the things we believe in is just because you live in a poor area, it hasn't got to be a dump. Try and do it up, make it nice, get people being proud about where they live. So I only got up here because these wound us up. I think we've got a good mixture in the north. We get along well. We have our Malcolm and kick off now and again, can't you, Stevie? But apart from that, we're all right. So we're doing good. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. You can have second place. Councillor Spedding.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased I reserve the right to speak, because being last is the best, but there you go. I mean, I obviously go back a few years, and area committees have been around for quite some time. When I remember the days, and a few in the room will remember SIB, SRB, and the ability to pump prime projects in area committees at that time. And I just want to go back a few years, probably 19 was probably about the best number to go back to, where the Coalfield Area Committee came together to pump prime a scheme in New Harrington, the Square Root Group. We give them a pump prime of £26,000, they did a feasibility, and then they went out and raised £380,000, and in them days that's worth £1 million now. So a brilliant scheme that went, and that was the ability of the Coalfield Area Committee to do that. But this report is the second year of a Coalfield 3-year area plan. By working closely with partners, and I'll repeat most of what's already been said, because we have a common theme among all area committees. By working closely with partners from all sectors, and particularly those in the voluntary sector, we've been able to develop projects and allocate funding where it is needed the most, which is the most important part of an area committee. The dedication and enthusiasm of local groups has enabled the delivery of successful schemes across the 4 wards in the Coalfield, clearly the best, that are the Coalfield area, an area that is home to some unique outdoor spaces, and already been talked about one in particular, that have been developed from the reclamation of former industrial sites and are now the pride of the city in many forms. Mr. Mayor, we recognise the importance of supporting our children and young people, enabling them to take part in positive and rewarding activities to develop life and social skills. We have this year funded 14 organisations to deliver holiday activities to children and young people in all our wards. We are proud that local events and the recognition of our unique area is firmly anchored in the minds of the Coalfield Area Committee, as is all projects in all area committees. I would like to thank my fellow councillors, partners and officers for their continued amazing support as we enter the final year of delivering on our current priorities, and ask that we continue to listen to our communities and hear what is important for them. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think that sums it all up.
Thank you very much, Councillor Spelling. Councillor Jones, do you wish to exercise your right of reply?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Dixon and Edgeworth, for the questions that you raised. So we already have meetings underway with the respective 5 area chairs, and over the forthcoming months they will be picked up at pace. As we know, there are major complexities with many of our wards being carved up with new geographies for people to get their heads around, and new data about kind of deprivation and lots of demographic stuff. Councillor Dixon, thank you for your suggestion about councillors 1, 2, 3 of XYZ being involved in meetings. At this stage, I have entire trust and confidence in the 5 area chairs to be leading on this piece of work with me, and I do hope at a point in the near future I'll be able to bring that back to the group. Thank you.
Point of order, Mr Mayor. May I just...
Yes, under what rule, Councillor?
I haven't a clue. Which one? 15 point. Sorry, I don't Mr trivialise it. I was just wondering, Councillor Jones, bearing in mind that vice chairs do chair the neighbourhood board meetings, why vice chairs are not included?
Thank you, Councillor Dixon. At this stage, I am just working on it with the 5 area chairs. Trying to organise diaries around 5 members, let alone 10, is extremely difficult. So I am working just with the area chairs. Obviously, there will be opportunities for vice chairs to come at some point, but at this stage, I am trying to minimise, to maximise the value.
Thank you very much. Can we receive and note the area committee's annual report? Thank you very much. I now call upon Councillor Dodds to move the annual scrutiny report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I so to move the report.
Councillor Burrell, do you second the report?
I do, Mr Mayor. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dodds, would you like to speak to the report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I would. It gives me great pleasure to finally present this annual scrutiny report for 24-25. As colleagues may be aware, the report provides a brief summary of the work of each of our committees during the previous year. It includes the overarching coordinating committee and the 3 thematic scrutiny committees covering health and wellbeing, children's services and economic prosperity. The report lays out a wide range of issues looked at by scrutiny over the year, highlighting many of the issues and challenges facing the city, its residents and indeed the council, as well as recognising the important contribution to the good governance of the city. I'm very much looking forward to my continuing role as Vice Chair of the Scrutiny Coordinating Committee and working with everyone continuing to deliver the ambitious working programme for this year. In conclusion, I would like to thank all the other Scrutiny Committee chairs in their role in developing the work of the committees and all the members, officers, partners who have contributed and continue to support the work of the Scrutiny in Sunderland. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mark, you did not, Councillor Burrell, you did not reserve the right to speak. Do you want to speak now?
No, I'm fine.
So do you want to speak after? No, oh, you do not want to speak. Okay, that's fine. Do any other members wish to speak? If so, please raise your hand.
Mr Mayor, we've received prior notice from Councillors Hodson and Dixon. Councillor Usher, Councillor Williams, Councillor Fagan, so Mr Mayor, the speakers are Councillors Hodson, Dixon, Usher, Williams, Fagan, and Councillor Dodds has the right of reply.
Councillor Hodgson is not here. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Councillor Dixon.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Reading over this report casts my mind back to two experienced councillors whose contribution to scrutiny had a great influence on me, two Labour councillors from the past. For although I had much experience in the workplace before becoming a councillor, the subject of scrutiny on a council and on a committee was new to me. However, over time I became aware of the dedication to scrutiny of former councillor Norma Wright, and from the beginning of my time as a councillor, my very first scrutiny chair, the late councillor Florence Anderson. Scrutiny really mattered to them both in their respective roles, and its profile as a result was strong. Times have changed, but the principles and direction of Councillor Anderson as a chair remain relevant today. She had no time whatsoever for non-contributions from councillors, whether Labour or Conservative, as was mainly the case in those days, believing that they should have read their brief from the written reports that they were provided with in much more detail in those days than of now, and then scrutinised them accordingly. She didn't like verbal reports that did not have the backing of written headings, and this, if this occurred, it met with her displeasure. I seem to recall she would look around the room to ensure all members were listening to the reports given by the officers. She ran a tight ship when chairing her scrutiny committee. But the way councillors Wright and Anderson and their attitude towards scrutiny in those days has stayed with me to every meeting I attend in 2025 and previously, and maybe into 2026 as well. So I recall these meetings, and in essence, although the procedure was much more formal then, nothing really changes. A scrutiny should be about questioning, not silence or backslapping, though clearly as someone who wants to see Sunderland prosper and improve, I'm more than happy to extend praise to officers when due for hard work and progress. Scrutiny is a fine balance between, on one hand, being of limited use when members are too accepting because politically they don't want the council to be criticised, or conversely, when members just go into meetings looking for negatives. So while I welcome this scrutiny annual report, which outlines the massive number of issues that we've discussed, one of the biggest mistakes a scrutiny can make is complacency. As being a critical friend of the council is a year-on-year ongoing responsibility. When, as a group, we discussed our response to this report, I was informed by Councillor Mullen, who sits on the Council's Scrutiny Coordinating Committee, of a few issues which I now mention. Why was there a failure to achieve value for money when it comes to the Council's relationship with SLM, which operates the Everyone Active brand? Why was there a refusal of the police to answer questions regarding speed cameras functioning? And why, on one occasion in recent years, there was a failure of the police to attend the annual community safety meeting? Responses would be welcome. To conclude, I and my party are supportive of scrutiny, but it is an ongoing process, so we would ask if there is anything currently being discussed or is imminent regarding another look at this important part of the Council's functions through a scrutiny impact review by an external body. A report from them would advise if we can improve our procedures or indeed receive confirmation that they are good. It would give everyone connected with scrutiny an opportunity to give an input, and if this is not currently planned, then can I strongly suggest it receives due consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Usher.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's just to thank I'm Chair of Health and Wellbeing, and just to thank the members of the Health and Wellbeing Committee for their commitment and work on the various work groups, and the officers, of course. And also to extend my thanks to Councillor Dodds for chairing the overarching scrutiny committee in the absence of Councillor Rowntree and obviously an untimely death. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Linda Williams.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would like to pay thanks to all the committee members who come along and take part in our meetings. You know, their time and dedication is really important to us. Thank you to the officers who support us through that process. And of course, thank you to TFC officers who come along and take a wide range of questions and a good deal of challenge at times. Some of the focuses over the last year, and I had to go back and read it, has been about safeguarding. It's absolutely important that we get safeguarding right to protect those families and particularly those children who need that support for them to be able to thrive in their families. We've had presentations from the ICB about CAMHS and speech and language, which have been long-term issues as far as we as a council are concerned in getting people into the right pathway. There is a bit change about the new pathway to get into CAMHS, which I think we'll have to give time to bed in, see how it works. My personal favourite are family hubs. I think it's a really brilliant way of being able to engage with families and to break some cycles. You know, all children are born equal. Sometimes it depends where you go home to and what the opportunities are around you. For, you know, everybody can engage, but it depends who you're engaging with. And we really need to make sure that we're talking to everybody to make sure that, you know, we have a good, strong structure moving forward for our families. Overseeing half, but the offer within half about engagement for pupils with SEND has been really growing and really important that we get that right. You know, children who have SEND in school are well catered for in many cases, but when it comes to holiday activity, quite often that hasn't been the case, so it's good to see some specific sessions on there to meet their needs. And then, of course, Ofsted, outstanding, again, a brilliant achievement, and thank you to everyone who has taken part in getting to us there, officers, members, everybody together. We should be owning celebrating that brilliant achievement, and let's hope we can keep continuing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Fagan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to comment briefly on the scrutiny this year, and in particular about Economic Scrutiny Committee. There's been a feeling that this year the work plan has been frustrated somewhat by refusals to place important issues on the agenda and some involvement from officers to steer the conversation away from difficult issues. For example, we asked for the university to attend and discuss the National Glass Centre, and they confirmed they were happy to come along. What we ended up with was a written statement instead. Communication to the university was that the committee had a busy schedule and therefore a written statement would do. I'm sure I speak for some of the committee to say that we would have been happy to have a separate meeting in order to accommodate the university coming in to discuss the National Glass Centre if time was the only issue. Scrutiny needs to look at the difficult issues and not shy away from them. The Chair also needs to ensure that officers do not dictate what goes on the agenda. Scrutiny should be member-led and not officer-led. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Dodds, do you wish to exercise your right of reply?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say, I will take Councillor Wood's comments on note, and I will speak to the new elected chair regarding them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we receive and note the scrutiny annual report?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Leader.
Mr. Mayor, point of order under Part 4, Section 1, Council Procedure Rules, Section 14.1c, to change the order of business. Can I move that items 14, 16 and 17 are to be considered as the next items of business in that order? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do you have a...
I would like to second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Point of order.
Councillor Mullen.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask the leader to just vary that slightly and also bring forward member questions, and then we would support him on that?
We can take it as two separate votes because there seems to be a difference of opinion. So can we have a show of hands for councillors who agree with the leader's
Mr. Mayor, hang on. Can I point of understanding?
Absolutely.
We thought 14, 15 and 16 were mentioned and 15 would be members' questions, correct? Or maybe you could clarify that, Michael.
It's clear. I would like to move items 14, written questions from members of the public, item 16, the report of the Cabinet, and item 17, the reports. Members of the public questions are more important. Councillors can get a written response if we have run out of time, Mr. Mayor.
Right. So all I can do, councillors, is put it to a vote and let you decide amongst yourselves. So
request an electronic vote, please.
you request electronic vote. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Okay. So members.
Mr. Mayor, can we do the same but slightly alter the order to Michael's and put members' questions and public questions and remove 17?
So I'm happy for you to put that forward. First, I will go with the leaders because he just said it first. So I'll just go in chronological order, if that's okay with yourself. So first it was his request, then Councillor Mullen had a request, and now you're putting a request forward. So I'll go with his first, see what colleagues feel, and then obviously go in that order, okay? So, councillors, you will get a yes or no vote. Do you agree with the leader that the items 14, 16 and 17 should be heard in that order? You will get an electronic vote.
Could the officer start the vote, please? So, members, the vote will be closing now. If officers could close the vote, please. So there are 44 in favour and 14 against.
Councillor Mullen, do you still wish to put your proposal to a vote? Councillor Mullen, do you have a seconder?
Yeah.
What is the
Councillor Mullen, can you please specify what your proposal is, and then we'll let councillors have a yes or no vote on that.
I can, Mr. Mayor. It was just a slightly better version of the one we've just voted on, which is to move items 14, 15, 16 and 17 up the agenda.
So if the vote could be opened now, please.
Yeah. We see.
The vote will be closing now, members. There are 18 votes in favour and 43 against.
Thank you very much. We will be now moving on. Councillor Stephen O'Brien.
Given the fact that they've won the democratic vote, I'll let them have it this time.
Thank you. Right, okay. Let us please move forward, colleagues. The next item is questions from the public. I will now read out the questions we have received. Question 1 is from Sharon Howard, a resident of Sunderland. Is there going to be any action to remove flags being attached to our lampposts and other street furniture in SR4? Material is being attached to road infrastructure or other council property without permission, affecting road and public safety. The raising of flags has become linked to debate surrounding immigration and asylum seekers, some groups to protesting against politicians. They can appear unsettling and threatening to residents. What is Sunderland City Council's course of action? And this will be answered by Councillor Michael Modi.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Sunderland City Council is proud to fly the Union flag at City Hall every day. We recognise the pride and passion of communities who wish to display flags and national colours. In recent weeks and months, we have seen the city join together and fly flags to mark the Euro Winning Lionesses campaign and the victorious Red Roses Women's Rugby World Cup champions, as well as proudly honouring our veterans during the recent VE Day and VJ Day celebrations and Sunderland's recent Remembrance Parade at the weekend. Mr Mayor, we know these events are important to our residents and we want to use our links to communities to open up a conversation about how we can celebrate the sense of pride in the city all year round. For their own safety, Mr Mayor, we would discourage people from climbing lampposts to attach any banners or flags, and the City Council will remove flags or decoration on council assets where they pose a health and safety risk or damage to property, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Lloyd, a resident of Sunderland, has asked, we're smashing the regeneration. Are there any plans for an arena, music, etc. between 5k and 20k seats to compete with Newcastle and bring revenue into Sunderland? And this will also be answered by Michael Modi.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I absolutely echo Lloyd's point. We are smashing it in terms of regeneration in the city. We're proud of the significant progress, Mr Mayor, being made across the city. From transformative developments at Riverside, Sunderland, to major investments in housing, infrastructure and cultural spaces. The ambition to create a vibrant, economically strong city is very much at the heart of our regeneration plans. In terms of an arena, we understand the value such a venue could bring, not only in attracting major music and entertainment acts, but also in boosting local revenue, creating jobs and enhancing Sunderland's regional profile. While there are currently no confirmed plans for an arena, we are actively exploring all opportunities to expand our cultural and event offer, including the potential. I would love to see an arena in the city at some point, but at this stage there isn't any confirmed plans. We're working with partners to assess demand, viability and potential locations for future developments that could complement existing venues and complete regionally. I would like to point out to Council, Mr Mayor, and to the city, if it wasn't for the fact that Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng absolutely crashed the economy with their disastrous mini-budget, I'm confident we would see an arena, if not complete, nearing completion in the city, because we were so close to signing a deal, but interest rates went through the roof. It became unaffordable, and unfortunately that didn't happen. But we are doing our utmost, Mr Mayor, to pursue that venture in the regeneration plans for the city centre, because I think it'll be an absolute game changer in the way people use Sunderland City Centre if we can get that off the ground. We're fully committed to trying our best to do so. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Scott Burrows, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. In the minutes from the meeting held on the 25th of June 2025, it states, Council further resolves that the Chief Executive will prepare a detailed report to be made public within 6 weeks with the following terms of reference. 1. Fully explain the proposed ownership structure of Glassworks Sunderland. 2. Consider whether the NGC and the NGCA will continue to exist. 3. Outline the capital and revenue cost. Please let me know where the public can find this report. And this will be answered by Councillor Beth Jones.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you to Scott for this question. The report is available on the Council's transparency page at www.sunderland.gov.uk/transparency, following the link marked National Glass Centre Proposed Closure and Relocation Report of the Chief Executive. Thank you.
Thank you. John Henderson, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. The fireworks at New Year, are they pet-friendly and who will be paying for them? As I do not agree to fireworks that will upset animals. And this will be answered by Beth again.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you to John for submitting this question. So the council notes the residents' concerns and John's concerns raised about the New Year Eve fireworks display, particularly around animal welfare and funding. But the event itself has been planned to balance community enjoyment with consideration for pets and residents. A full safety and welfare assessment has been carried out, and whilst there will be some noise which is unavoidable for the safe display, the council continues to explore quieter alternatives whenever we can. The cost of the celebration is met from the city's events programme budget, which supports local businesses and brings the community together with no extra charge at all for our residents. Organised displays allow for clear timings and advance notice to be given to pet owners so they have the chance to prepare. The council strongly encourages residents to attend these planned events rather than setting off fireworks in yards or gardens or at random times, as we know unplanned activity often causes more distress to animals and creates additional safety risks. By promoting organised displays, we aim to create a memorable celebration while maintaining public safety and reducing the risks linked to private fireworks use. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Pounder, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. With Sunderland being a city of sanctuary, can the leader of the council invite any asylum seeker who is in accommodation in Sunderland along to the Stadium of Light to watch a game with one of the 2 season tickets SAFC supplied to the council? This would help in these asylum seekers feel as though they are really part of the city. That will be answered by Michael Modi.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I'm proud that Sunderland is widely considered to be a welcoming city, known for our friendly locals, a strong community spirit, and inclusive approach to residents and visitors. The city is actively working to be a welcoming and inclusive place through various initiatives, with both the City Council and local voluntary organisations committed to fostering a sense of belonging. We've seen in recent years, Mr Mayor, when residents across the city opened their homes to Ukrainians fleeing Putin's illegal invasion of their country. We saw it in the welcome we gave Hong Kongers and those brave Afghanis who were so ably assisted His Majesty's forces during their deployment in Afghanistan. Despite the best efforts of those voices on the sidelines, Mr Mayor, who are trying to sow division and distrust, I know Sunderland will always continue to be a welcoming and inclusive city, and I would like to thank Mr Pounder for his suggestion, which I would take under consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. David Newby, not Councillor David Newby, David Newby, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Part 1. What plans are in place to service the massive housing increases at Ryop, Doxford? Where are the extra public services coming for? For example, council services, refuse, health services, doctors' surgeries, education, emergency services. And part 2, where are the affordable homes / social housing? And this will be answered by Kelly, I believe. Kevin.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Mr Newby, for the question. It gives me obviously great pleasure to rattle through some of the things that he's raised. And in particular, part 1, I'll start with the significant investment by the council and its partners in the South Sunderland growth area has delivered much needed family housing, critical infrastructure and public service enhancements. With circa £80 million secured from private developers and central government funding, schemes there has already been significant investment in include extensions to the St Paul's and Benedict Biscop primary schools, a rebuild and extension to create additional capacity at Farringdon Secondary School, a rebuild and creation of additional capacity at Sunningdale SEN School, creation of SEN facility at Mill Hill Primary School, the Ryop Doxford Link Road, transformation of City Way into dual carriageway, and junction improvements at the A690, A19 roundabout, and the Seaton Lane and A19 intersection. As the development progresses, there will be further investment in around 50 hectares of green space and parkland, retail, commercial facilities, including land for the provision of doctors, surgeries and dental practices, allotment provision, replacement and expansion of St Patrick's School in Ryep, development of new primary school as part of the development and land north of Burden Lane, public transport upgrades and provision of sport and leisure facilities. The new housing developments will create and generate additional council tax contributions to help fund those vital council services such as refuse collection and environmental services, which are constantly being reviewed and optimised to meet demand. We continue to work in partnership with other public service providers, including health, education and emergency services, to ensure that infrastructure and service capacity are aligned with projected population growth and ensure all our residents continue to receive high-quality services as our city grows. In terms of Part 2, in accordance with the planning policy and identified demand, 10% of the new homes being built on each development across the Sunderland South growth area must be affordable. There are also developments which are delivering 100% affordable housing, such as the live plan application from Carbon Homes for 75 affordable homes on the land adjacent to the new Ryep-Doxford Link Road. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Linda McShane, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Sunderland culture plays an important part in the cultural and creative life of our city. As a charity, it must follow the law, working for the benefit of the public. The loss of the fire station and threatened loss of the NGC and NGCA in 2026 weaken its ability to carry out its function. The Council is a founding partner of Sunderland Culture. What active steps are the Council taking to make sure it keeps charitable status? And that will be answered by Councillor Beth Jones.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As a founding partner of Sunderland Culture, the Council is represented on the board of the charity and works within that context to support the ongoing development of Sunderland Culture and its contribution to the cultural life of the city, in line with its charitable objectives and within the changing environment and financial constraints. In addition, City Council colleagues responsible for the Council's cultural venues and services work closely with Sunderland Culture to identify new opportunities on an ongoing basis. This includes programmes such as Going Places, part of a national programme with the Arts Fund, which will take exhibitions from the museum into communities across the city during the museum redevelopment. As another example, colleagues in Together for Children as a strategic partner and in Music Connect Sunderland as a delivery partner are working together with Sunderland Culture and other key partners on Culture Start, which is a 3-year place partnership programme which is bringing cultural activity to children and young people in communities across the city with lived experience of child poverty. And I'd like to thank Linda for that question. Thanks.
Thank you. Lauren Laws, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. I commend the leader for bringing his High Street clean-up to Easington Lane, and I look forward to this coming to Hetton soon. Small Business Saturday on 6th December is a campaign promoting small businesses and encouraging people to shop locally, which helps small businesses thrive and strengthens local economies. Will the leader commit to his ongoing support to the small businesses Hetton and encourage others to do the same by ensuring that our small shopping areas are the best that they can be? Councillor Michael Mordy.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I'm absolutely delighted to answer this question from the brilliant Lauren Laws, who is leading the way in Hetton Ward at the minute. Mr Mayor, small businesses are the backbone of many local communities, including in the Hetton Ward. This Small Business Saturday, as Sunderland Neighbour, proudly stands with local entrepreneurs who create jobs, drive innovation and keep our high streets vibrant. Supporting small businesses isn't just good economics, it's about strengthening community ties and ensuring as much of the money that is spent locally stays local, helping families and neighbourhoods thrive. That was one of the main drivers behind our local shopping area improvement campaign, to make these areas as attractive to visit as possible, to help drive footfall, to support local businesses, not just in Hetton and Easington Lane, but right across the city. I would like to commend Lauren for her strong advocacy in standing up and ensuring that Hetton and Easington Lane were featured in this new scheme. It shows the kind of local councillor Lauren will be for all the communities across the Hetton ward, as she has shown it so far in her campaign to replace the late Councillor Claire Rowntree on Sunderland City Council, that Lauren will listen, that she cares, and that she will absolutely deliver for local people. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, Michael. Caroline Comer, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. What difference has the opening of the West Area Hub made to antisocial behaviour in the area? And that will be answered by Councillor Kelly Checker.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor, and I would like to thank Caroline very much for this excellent question. Since the opening of the West Area Hub 8 weeks ago, we have seen clear improvements in coordination between agencies and greater accessibility for residents to report concerns. The Hub provides a single point of contact for community safety issues, making it easier for residents to engage and for partners to respond. Whilst it is still early to measure the long-term impact, initial feedback indicates that the Hub has strengthened our ability to monitor antisocial behaviour trends and to respond quickly to emerging issues. Regular multi-agency meetings held at the Hub enable better intelligence sharing, joint problem solving and targeted interventions. This collaborative approach ensures that resources are deployed where they are most needed and that any new challenges are addressed promptly. The Hub also supports proactive engagement within communities, helping to build trust and encourage reporting, which is vital for early intervention and sustained improvements in community safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Paul Jorgensen, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. I would like to know what the council is doing to help support and prevent disorderly conduct from teenagers and young children causing trouble in our area and surrounding areas. We have very little resources like community policing and places for these children to go. And this was also answered by Councillor Kelly Checker.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor, and I would like to thank Paul very much for his question. This council is committed to addressing antisocial behaviour amongst young people through a balanced approach of prevention, support and enforcement. As we've heard earlier from the Police and Crime Commissioner and the Chief Constable, and also about the work that my colleague to my left is doing around the youth provision strategy, our priority is absolutely to work with local partners to provide positive opportunities for young people. This includes developing safe spaces and activities such as youth clubs, sports programmes and creative projects that help build confidence, develop skills and offer access to wellbeing support where needed. These initiatives aim to reduce the likelihood of antisocial behaviour by giving young people constructive alternatives. Community engagement is also essential. We encourage residents to report concerns and share information so that resources can be targeted effectively and responses delivered promptly. Alongside prevention, enforcement plays an important role in maintaining community safety. The Council works closely with Northumbria Police and other partners to carry out joint patrols, monitor identified hotspots and utilise technology such as CCTV where appropriate. Where behaviour persists and impacts community safety, proportionate enforcement measures are taken, including warnings, community resolutions and, where necessary, legal action. This combined approach ensures that we protect residents whilst supporting young people to make positive choices and to contribute positively to their communities. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Alison Mason, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. The Housing Act 1996 and the Localism Act 2011 jointly enable housing associations to prioritise defined groups for social housing, including those that are British and with demonstrable history within the locality. Can the Council confirm if any housing partners currently use these provisions to prioritise local British people for social housing? And this will be answered by Councillor Kevin Johnston.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The local authority manages its allocations policy in accordance with the Housing Act 1996 and the Localism Act of 2011. This policy has been developed collaboratively with Redchester providers operating within Sunderland. All nominations received from housing partners across the city are processed in line with this policy to ensure fairness and transparency. Every eligible applicant is assessed in accordance with the established criteria. This is not based on nationality. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Mr. Kevin Leonard, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. The Barnes and Humbledon Residents Association was pleased to hear that Labour's proposed bus lane on Chester Road, the Broadway, has been cancelled. What future improvements to the Broadway roundabout are planned, and what is the timetable for delivery? And this will be answered by Councillor Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank Kevin for the question. I would also like to clarify that, seeing my name's been mentioned with him 2 meetings in a row, that I'm not actually related to Kevin. But if I do get another question from him next time, I will be considering politically stalking. So I'd just like to let Kevin know that as part of the Bus Service Improvement Plan consultation and its revised plans, the Broadway roundabout will benefit from a number of improvements, including the minor relocation of bus stops. There will also be installations of yellow box junctions on 2 of the roads as they approach the roundabout. These measures will aid the flow of traffic. Initial work on the scheme is scheduled to start in January, but I cannot commit to a specific time frame from the work in the area of the Broadway roundabout at this time. The exact time dependent on the progress on the works further down the road, and some work is weather dependent, which may delay works or vary the timescale. If Kevin would like any further information, detailed drawings and plans alongside the traffic flow modelling can be found at www.sunderland.gov.uk/BSIP Chester Road. If he needs any further questions answered, I believe I'm his ward councillor and I'd be happy to pop round for a chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Hardip Singh Barad, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Can the leader of the council confirm that Labour and the Greens have entered into an election pact in Sunderland, and that Labour will stand aside in some wards to let the Greens win, in return for the Greens going into coalition with Labour after May? Council Leader.
Mr Mayor, is this a drum roll? Well, actually, when I seen this question come through, I thought it was April Fool's Day. Because if I'm completely honest, I wouldn't know the leader of the Green Party in Sunderland to pick them out of a lineup. I wouldn't know who they are. I've never spoken to them in my life. I can absolutely guarantee the Sunderland Labour Party at the elections in May next year will have 75 candidates on the ballot. We will be fighting for every seat and every vote, and we are absolutely confident to be returned to the majority party without a coalition in May 2026, Mr Mayor.
William Smith, councillors. William Smith, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. What would be the impact on local housing market and the wider local economy of abolishing stamp duty? And does the cabinet member believe government should do this? And that will be answered by Kevin Johnston.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's difficult to predict the impact on the local housing market and wider local economy of abolishing stamp duty land tax, which is a decision for central government. It is, however, encouraging to note that there's a strong demand for new high-quality homes that are being delivered across Sunderland, with the city increasingly being viewed as an aspirational location for new and existing residents. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Benjamin Davies Scott, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. The council will be aware that residents of Barnes and Thornhill continue to face issues on Durham Road at the Mayfair buildings as cars park both within the cycle lane and on top of the bollards. Little is done to police this illegal parking. What more does the council have planned to make this route safe for pedestrians and cyclists. And this will be answered by Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you to Benjamin David Scott for the question. The officers are aware of ongoing issues with this indiscriminate parking around Mayfair buildings on the A690. Enforcement officers carry out regular visits and do issue parking tickets when vehicles are parked incorrectly. This location has been on the priority list for enforcement for a number of months, and officers are continuing to develop further proposals which will be shared with members of the public and businesses in the area when finalised. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Johnston, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Council officers have acknowledged that the increased policing of the city centre through sale has caused some issues to move out into residential areas. What assessment has the council made of this displacement of problems from the city centre, and how will it be tackled? And this will be answered by Councillor Kelly Checker. I forgot your name there for a second, Kelly, sorry.
For a long time, I was often called Councillor Kelly until former Councillor John Kelly retired, and then people finally realised what my name was. So I'll answer to anything, Mr Mayor. Obviously, I would like to thank former Councillor Sam Johnston, and I assume future 2026 candidate Sam Johnston, for his question. Monitoring of antisocial behaviour incidents and individuals since the launch of the sale initiative shows no evidence of displacement from the city centre into residential areas. Regular multi-agency meetings are held across the city to share intelligence and review emerging trends, considering both locations and active individuals. This proactive approach enables early identification of concerns and ensures proportionate action is taken when required. The ongoing priority of the community safety hubs is to maintain safe and welcoming communities across Sunderland through its strong and effective partnership working. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stephen Pickering, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. It's becoming increasingly difficult to turn right at the Sea Road, Station Road, Full Road Road junction traffic lights when approaching from Denny Lane towards the Bluebell pub. There is continuous oncoming traffic from Full Road Road, such that at best 1 or 2 cars can turn right each light cycle. This leads to long queues on Denny Lane and people turning right on red due to frustration. Can a turn right filter light be considered at the junction to reduce the increasing risk of an accident? And that will be answered by Councillor Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you to Stephen Pickering for the question. Officers have previously reviewed the Fulwell Road traffic light junction, and it is accepted that there are capacity issues at the junction. Due to the limited highway space, it may prove difficult to make significant changes to the junction, but officers have agreed to review the current traffic flows and reassess the junction, and if viable, include this as part of future road safety scheme. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicola Austin Ratcliffe, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. There are reports on social media that already parts of the new footbridge are dysfunctional, with lights that have stopped operating and tarmac breaking up. Can the council give an honest assessment of any faults that have been identified thus far and the projected cost of repairing these? Councillor Michael Modi.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think I've already touched on this earlier in the meeting, but just to reconfirm, the new Keel Crossing has transformed connectivity between the city centre, the Sheepfalls neighbourhood and the Stadium of Light, and is being used by hundreds of people every day and by thousands of people on a match day. As with any infrastructure project of this scale, there will be minor snags that need to be addressed during the initial period of operation. The council is aware of minor issues with the parapet lighting, which is being resolved by the contractor at their cost. And as I said earlier, Mr Mayor, there's no issues with the tarmac surfacing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader. Greg Peacock, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Will the Leader confirm whether he, 1, supports the apparent position of the head of public protection residential North East, namely that priority should be given to prisoners assessed as high or very high risk of reoffending when released on licence, where this may compromise the safeguarding of residents in Pennywell nearby, or 2, he instead stands with the 2,021 residents who have signed the petition calling for the relocation of CAS1 approved premises on Hilton Road. And this will be answered by Michael Mordy.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor, and I would like to thank former St Anne's Conservative Councillor Greg Peacock for his question, and to see the brass neck of it, Mr Mayor, because when Greg was a councillor for St Anne's in 2022, he could have done something about this. He was consulted, I understand, as all councillors are, on planning applications, but I understand that failed to take any action. And the fact that he tries to now lay this at the feet of the 3 current St Anne's councillors, who were not, all 3 of them were not members of the council at the time, I would simply say if he'd done his job in the first place correctly, Mr Mayor, the people of Pennywell might not be in the position that they're in right now.
Thank you very much. That concludes questions from members of the public. We will now be moving to item 16. I now call upon the leader to move the report and supplementary report of the Cabinet.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I so move.
Deputy Leader, do you second the report?
I second the report, Mr Mayor.
Leader, would you like to speak to the Cabinet report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I absolutely would. Taking the 4 items in order, I'm absolutely delighted to reach the end of the process of formally honouring Sister Mary Scholastica and Paul Callahan with the Honorary Freedom of the City. Sister Mary has been nominated in recognition of the example and commitment and achievement she sets in serving the community and the seafarers at the Port of Sunderland, as an ambassador for Sunderland and as a role model for young people in the city. And Paul Callahan has been nominated in recognition of the example and commitment and achievement he sets in his contributions to business, education and culture, and again as an ambassador for Sunderland and a role model for young people in the city. Mr Mayor, the Council has traditionally honoured these people who have made a significant positive contribution to the reputation and well-being of the city and its residents by conferring the Honorary Freedom of the City. Therefore, this proposal will formally recognise the achievements and contributions of both nominated individuals and the respect that the people of Sunderland hold for both of them. Mr Mayor, for Sister Mary's part, her tireless charitable work, ever since she made Sunderland her home in the 1950s, has seen her provide invaluable support to countless communities and residents, as well as seafarers visiting the port. And businessman and philanthropist, Paul has played a significant role in the city's economic, educational and cultural offer as founder of the Leighton Group, the former chair of the University of Sunderland, and through his dedicated work to build Sunderland culture. Further details of both individuals' significant achievements will be shared at the ceremony later in the year when we formally bestow the Freedom of the City on these 2 remarkable individuals, Mr Mayor, and I am immensely proud to bring this report to Council for approval tonight. Mr Mayor, item 2 on the agenda is the review of the polling districts, polling places and polling stations. This is a statutory requirement that we have to do every year, Mr Mayor, so that's being done. I think I understand all groups have been briefed by Lindsay Dixon on that process, so I'm hoping that is just nodded through tonight. Item 3 might be a little bit more controversial. I've seen Councillor Lyles Reid's social media post. I have to say they're a bit far off the mark, Lyle, if I'm completely honest with you. But we're in this position now because the procedures of the council, the agreements we had amongst the group, which is completely broken down. We're seeing now we've literally got 7 motions on the agenda that we haven't gotten through again today. Another one being submitted when we already knew we had a backlog to get through. So this amendment to the Council Procedure Rules, in my view, is appropriate, it's proportionate, and it will ensure that the business of this council is conducted in the 3 hours that we have, and that we get on with the business of representing the people of the Sunderland and debating actual matters that are of concern to the city, instead of playing silly political games that excite certain members of the council, but really the rest of us couldn't care less about, Mr Mayor. Item 4 is the final one, is the budget plan and framework and medium-term financial strategy. Mr Mayor, it's just a regular update to Council as we're about to start in earnest the budget setting process for the next year. We anticipate that this will be the first 3-year settlement that the Council has received from Government in a number of years. We're still awaiting the outcome of the consultation from the Fair Funding Review, and the results of that will be fed through Cabinet and via Cabinet to Council, and we hope to get a position where we will get a budget set that's in the interests of the people of Sunderland by the end of the end of February, early March. So they're the 4 items on the Cabinet. Mr Mayor, I'm happy to answer any members' questions that they may have.
Thank you. Before you do, Michael, Deputy Leader, did you wish to speak? Because you do not reserve the right to speak.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No, I don't have anything additional to add to the Leader. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me know. Do any members wish to speak? If so, please raise your hands.
Mr Mayor, we received prior notice from Councillors Mullen and Edgeworth, who both wish to speak on items 1 and 3 of the Cabinet report.
Does anyone else wish to speak? No. Councillor Mullen?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Both together or separate?
Separate.
Thank you. Well, very briefly on honorary freedom, my group is happy to support both people nominated. Oh my God. Christ.
Excuse us.
Fucking hell. Happy to support both people nominated for the freedom of the city. I did write to the leader earlier in the year. Jesus Christ, sorry, I'm just...
We'll have a chat.
my heart's not slowing down. I did write to the leader earlier in the year suggesting that in honour of the Music City Award, that we should also nominate some of the city's musical talents for receipt of honorary freedom of the city. And so whilst not moving a formal reference back, can I ask that he considers this for the same ceremony, and in particular, can I suggest Brian Ferry, Dave Stewart and Lauren Laverne as 3 people to be nominated for it?
Councillor Edgeworth, do you want to speak, but separate, so on the first point that you want to make?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We will endorse the recommendation for honorary freedom of the city to be awarded to Sister Mary Scholastica. On my first visit to the port as a fresher-faced and younger councillor, obviously meeting Sister Mary for the first time was an experience I'll never forget. She's rightly respected and held in great affection at everyone who works and visits the port and across the city more widely. So we're happy to support that. I don't think we can necessarily support the second recommendation. And so we won't be supporting the second proposal, and I'd like to request a separate vote on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. A second, the votes can be split. Councillor Mullen, if you'd like to come in on item 3.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll just check behind me first before I begin. So the Conservative group wanted to be able to support some sensible changes to bring the number of motions under control, hence my open letter to you, Mr Mayor, suggesting how that might be done. But upon looking at the detail of this, we can't support these changes and are moving a reference back. And I would suggest that it will have to be accepted because there's a form of wording here which actually intends the opposite of what you mean. There's a contradiction which is going to have to be ironed out, and I'll come on to that. But the vague limit and what's happening here of having 4 motions that are allocated to the 2 biggest groups and then the other 2 are up for grabs by anybody would have simply been better expressed as saying that it's 1 motion per group, per meeting, and if we don't get to them, they fall off the end. What we've got instead is this much more contrived form of words, where it says that, and there is an issue of fairness here, the 3rd largest group is not guaranteed to have a motion on the agenda at all, even if that group complies with all of the new rules that have been set out regarding the new time frame, and even if in that context it's the first to do so. It undermines the point that is then made about the order in which motions are received. If the 2 main groups, currently Labour and the Lib Dems, but I suspect not in a few months' time, even if they put them in very last minute, they are still guaranteed to have at least 1 on the agenda, but the 3rd largest group and 4th largest group, as it will be after May, have no such guarantee. But then the real problem is with this. The phrase, the order in which they shall be taken to have been received will be the order in which they appear in the committee's inbox. You actually mean the opposite of that, because the order they appear in the inbox will be the reverse order in which they were received. So every time there is a motion, I will simply raise a point of order to say, we got ours in last, we should be going first, because that is what you were proposing, putting in the Constitution, and younger, sensible Labour councillors are sitting nodding along because they can see that I'm right. This cannot be allowed to go ahead because what you mean is not what you have said. It might be confusing, Michael, but others are nodding. They can see that this is right. There is a suggestion here which is totally the opposite of what you were trying to propose. It will have to be changed. But then it raises its own question. What order is that inbox in, if not the order I've just described? And if I want to challenge the order it's in, how can any of us be allowed to see it? If I want an FOI during the meeting, so if I raise a point of order and say, what order is that inbox in at present, I have to then FOI it. There's no scrutiny available at all to be able to see that they were received in a particular order. So if I distrusted the system, it couldn't be proven and it couldn't be challenged. So why would I bother submitting it at all? If we accept this in its current form, the Constitution will say that motions will be listed in the order they appear in an inbox we therefore don't have sight of, that we won't be able to scrutinise, and which we assume appears from newest to oldest, so those that are received last will come first. And overall, this has been written badly, I might add, in an attempt to disadvantage for the next couple of months the Conservative group. After the local elections, I suspect you'll be 3rd or 4th, so it'll disadvantage you. And what we really should be doing is limiting it, yes you will, limiting it to 1 motion per group per meeting. But there are bigger cultural problems outside of the number of motions, and that is the number of people who speak on motions. When you first became leader, Michael, the 3 current group leaders met, and we all agreed that we would put up 2 speakers per motion, that we didn't need to put it in the rules, we would just do that as an agreement. And to be fair, it was the Liberal Democrats that broke that rule first, but you will observe that my group still does this. The Labour group has long given up on that. The other point, of course, is that whenever there is a motion from any of the opposition parties that the Labour group does agree with, you can't just vote for it, you always have to amend it to make it your own, which also wastes time. So there are cultural things within the context of the chamber that could be changed if we want to get through things quickly, but none of those have been considered. So we're asking the Cabinet to take this back and at least look at that form of words which will leave you open to a correct challenge in every meeting, and your backbenchers can see that it's a correct challenge. I give you fair notice. If you don't, I will simply get every member of my group to raise a point of order on every motion at every future meeting, and we'll not get through any of them because we will just block them on the basis that this is legitimate. I would also say, though, more widely, we do have the existential problem that none of this really matters.
Councillor, that's five minutes. So if you can wrap up, because I also let
Can I
you
propose an
speak
extension,
first.
Mr. Mayor?
Propose an extension.
Right, I'll let you finish.
I've only got one sentence left, which is to say that on a more existential point, none of this matters because all of the motions we pass get ignored anyway.
Councillor Edgeworth, did you want to speak on part 3
Thank
of this?
you, Mr Mayor. I think the issue isn't necessarily the rules of procedure, it's that the Labour Party are not willing to put the work in. We're happy to stay longer. Beyond 3 hours, we get paid to debate issues that are of concern to the residents we represent, and we don't have any issue with staying later to get that done. So that would solve all these problems. I also want to put on record how stupid and inept the leader is over this. If he had any nous or foresight, he'd be future-proofing the Constitution for procedurals at a time in the not-too-distant future where Labour are the second, third, fourth largest party on this council, when they'll be hamstrung by these very changes. And instead, he's arrogantly acting as though electoral wipeout isn't facing Labour next May, and I'd like to see how arrogant he is after the Hetton by-election results later this month. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Apologies, I'd like to request a separate vote on that item if the reference back fails. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Leader, do you wish to exercise your right of reply?
I would, Mr Mayor. Thank you very much. In relation to item 1, on Councillor Mullins' point in relation to the music, yes, you did say that in Anthony. I did consider it, but it was just impossible. Where do you draw the line? The members who've made from Sunderland who've made a significant contribution to the country and the city's music scene. At the end of the day, we focused on people who still live in the city, make a contribution to the city. The issues that the Liberals raised around Paul Callaghan, you can try and put a political spin on there, but Paul's achievements in the city are there to see. He is a brilliant businessman who still works in the city. His contributions to around the fire stations on culture is there to see. I think he is Sunderland to his core and absolutely deserves to be recognised for his honour. And I think Paul absolutely deserves the recognition for all he's done for the city. In terms of item 3, Mr Mayor, as I understand it, and I'll seek the clarification from the city solicitor, because I didn't write the report, but my understanding is that the way the motions are received is the date and time that they arrive in the inbox. So this is just common sense. So any motion that is received, if we send one today, it'll be received at Wednesday the 12th of November at 18:50. That to me is just common sense, and that's what the report says. But I'm happy to sit down and have the city solicitor or the chief executive get up and clarify that point, because that's my understanding of what's in the report. On that, I'll just ask the group to oppose the reference back, and then we'll move forward from there, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, Leader. I would now like to invite Elaine just to provide give some comments on some of the comments that you've made, Councillor Mullen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to clarify, the position is exactly as the leader has outlined. I would suggest the way the rules are drafted is clear and they are valid. There is simply an explanation in the covering report of how the time of receipt will be deemed to be in the committee's inbox. And as I'm sure many members will be aware, you know, when you see an email received in the inbox, it shows the date and time of receipt, and you can actually choose to amend your settings to show them either, you know, in one order or in reverse order. The key thing is it's what's the date and time shown on the email. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Point of order.
Councillor Mullen.
Thank you. 15.1, Mr Mayor. You're right, Michael, it's not rocket science, but what Elaine has just said there isn't actually what is written. It says the order in which they shall be taken to have been received will be the order in which they appear in the committee's inbox, and they will appear in reverse order. What Elaine said is not what it says here. They're two totally different things.
Yeah. I would like to invite the Chief Executive to say a few words of clarification.
Not everyone's inbox is the same way. Some people have
the last received as the top. Some people have the first received as the top. You can change your settings. So you're making an assumption that the last received will always be at the top. That's not the case. So we will definitely do it on date and time received.
Point of order. Thank you.
15.1. Right,
15.1.
Councillor Mullen, please continue.
Thank you. Again, that is another point that I made, that you can change the order of inboxes to be different, but how can any of us interrogate that to see what it was at any particular time? If it is going to be the first received on the basis of the earliest date and time, it should say that instead of some vague reference to the order of an inbox that none of us have access to. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's intentionally vague. Why not just say the first received will be the first that was received?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Mullen, for your contribution. I've heard from, obviously, the leader, Elaine, and from the chief executive. They all seem to indicate there's a chronological element, so I understand completely what you're saying, but they're saying that it will be, they will look at the times that the email was sent in. So, okay, I understand. But the other thing, because the other thing that you've said about how will you know? Well, obviously, if you sent an email, you'll know what time you sent it in, won't you? So, right, okay. I understand. Well, thank you so much for your comments. They will definitely be noted. We will move on to a vote.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Can I refer colleagues to page 141 of the report? And I never thought I'd be trying to help Elaine Warren out in this situation, but it does say in the actual proposed changes to the rules of procedure that there'll be order of receipt. So I think it's pretty clear to me in there.
Okay, we will have a vote on whether there will be a reference back. So, all in favour, can you please raise your hands?
I request an electronic vote, please, Mr. Mayor.
You want an electronic vote?
Of course, this is democracy.
Okay, if you're in favour of a reference back, it will be a yes. If not, it will be a no.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If the vote can be opened, please.
Yes, give it how many? 6 minutes to go?
Switch your mic off though. You switch your mic on.
No, 5 minutes. Probably getting through one. We're going to have another hour.
So the vote will be closing now, members. There are 16 votes in favour and 44 against, so the reference back is defeated.
Thank you. We will now take a vote on item 1, recommendations in respect to Sister Mary Scholastica. So we are voting in favour of her receiving freedom of the city as a yes. Is that agreed? Actually, yes. I forgot everyone agreed to that one. Okay, that's agreed. Thank you very much, Council. We will now take a vote on item 1, recommendations in respect to Paul Callaghan.
I request an electronic vote, please, Mr. Mayor.
So will officers open the vote, please?
Given donations to
The vote will be closing now, members. And there are 47 votes in favour and 12 against, so the recommendation is agreed.
We will now take a vote on item 3, amendment to the Constitution.
I request an electronic vote, please, Mr. Mayor.
So again, if officers could open the vote, please.
Can we have a point of clarification on the vote, please?
Yes, of course, Mel. Or what the vote is about? Yes. Okay. So we are voting on item 3, amendment to the Constitution. Yes to say you agree, no to say you don't agree with the amendment.
And if officers could close the vote now, please. There are 45 votes in favour and 16 against, so the recommendation is agreed.
Thank you. Do you agree to the remaining items on the Cabinet report? Great. The next item tonight is reports, which includes a report of the leader on special urgency decisions, a report on appointments to committees, and a report on approval of reason for absence from meetings. In addition, I have agreed that the Council may consider an urgent item of business, which is a separate approval of reason for absence from meetings. A copy of the urgent report has been published and circulated around the Chamber. I have agreed to the urgent item because this is the last ordinary meeting at which Council can consider a request for prior approval of absence in relation to Councillor McKeith. We will take these in turn, starting with the Leader's report on special urgency decisions. Leader, would you please move the report?
I so move, Mr Mayor.
Deputy Leader, do you second the report?
I second the report, Mr Mayor.
Does Council agree to receive the report? Next, we will deal with the report on appointments to committees. Leader, would you please move the report and inform Council of any proposed appointments where you are able to do so?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, it is the intention of the Labour Group to appoint Councillor Mark Burrell to be Chair of the Scrutiny Coordinating Committee, to remove Councillor Mark Burrell as the Chair of the Economic Prosperity Scrutiny Committee and leave that vacancy open to January full Council, and to appoint Councillor Mark Burrell as a member of the North East Combined Authority Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Thank you.
Deputy Leader, do you second the report?
I second the report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak on the report?
Councillor Edgeworth and Councillor Mullen.
Councillor Edgeworth?
Thank you. Mr Mayor, I wonder if I could request a separate vote on recommendation 4.12, please, the appointment of the Chair of the Scrutiny Coordinating Committee. I don't think our group has confidence in that appointment because of the Glass Centre issue on Economic Prosperity Committee. Either incompetence or complicity in a cover-up, I'm not sure which one, so I don't think we can support that. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Mullen?
I was going to make the less controversial point that there's also a new vacancy on Scrutiny Coordinating Committee, which doesn't seem to have been filled. When will we get that?
Leader, do you want to quickly respond? Because not everyone would have heard your response.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, obviously we had the election of the new Scrutiny Chair at the Labour Group Monday night. Councillor Burrell was already on the Scrutiny Committee. That still leaves a vacancy on the committee that we haven't filled yet, that we will fill at January Council.
Thank you very much, Leader. Okay. Okay. Councillor Paul Edgeworth, you wanted a separate vote. Can you please just clarify again for colleagues what exactly that you want changed or amended?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to request a separate vote on the recommendation 4.12, which is appointing a Chair of the Scrutiny Coordinating Committee. So we'd like a vote on the proposed councillor who's going to fill that post. Thank you.
So is it in favour of the appointment or against? And you want it to go to an electronic vote? Okay. So yes is in favour and no is against the appointment of Councillor Mark Beryl.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So if the officers would open the vote, please.
One
Apologies.
second, Elaine. Mel, do you want me to re-clarify that? Because I... All right, okay. Okay. No, I understand, because it is confusing, you know. Thank you very much. Apologies, colleagues. I thought some councillors might need some clarification. Elaine.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So if the vote could be opened, please. And this is voting on 4.1, recommendation 2, appointment of the Chair of the Scrutiny Coordinating Committee. And if the vote could be closed now, please. So there are 45 votes in favour and 11 against, so the recommendation is approved.
So can we agree... Apologies, councillors. And are we agreed to the appointment to NECA, the North East Combined Authority? Agreed? Right, excellent. The final reports are for approval of reason of absence from meetings. Leader, would you move the first report?
I so move, Mr Mayor.
Deputy Leader, do you second?
I second the report, Mr Mayor.
Is the report agreed? We will now move on to the second approval of absence report. Councillor Mullen, would you like to move the report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've explained to both other group leaders the reason behind this and move the report.
Is this seconded?
It's seconded, Mr Mayor.
Is the report agreed? Thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues. It's been a very good council meeting, actually. It's past 7 o'clock, so that concludes the meeting. Thank you.
Mr Mayor, sorry.
Councillor Lyle Reid.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In line with the Council Rule 8.1, I'd like it to put to a vote that we extend the meeting until all business is concluded on the agenda. Thank you.
That's fine. Can we have a show of hands of who wants the meeting to end?
Electronic vote, please.
No. Show of hands, because it is past the time.
On a point of order, can I have my individual vote recorded in the minutes, please?
Point of order, Mr Mayor. I would like my individual vote recorded as well.
That needs to be seconded.
I second it, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Hartmark has seconded. Okay, thank you very much. Can we have a show of hands who would like the meeting to end? No. Can we have a show of hands who wants the meeting to be extended? Thank you very much, councillors. I think that concludes the meeting.